everyone. Welcome back to Nerds with Dice. This is Emergent. We are on our second session. Whenever the tech person makes a face, I
Oh,
automatically
you saw
pause.
that?
Are
I'm
we
so
good?
sorry. We're good. I just forgot to refresh Vin's window, so it's just a black square. But there we go. Hi, Vin.
Welcome in. Nice to have everybody here. Fantastic. Good. Glad we're all in. Yeah, I'm automatically trained. Like tech person makes a face, I'm like,
you're
what's wrong?
you're
Did
very
something break?
attentive.
Well, nothing's broken, and we're all here. Last time, if you joined us for our first session last week, our players went through a very normal one. Had an average school day. Some people more awake during that day than others, including among our players. Then did after school activities, went home, and went to sleep. Everyone woke up the next morning. Some things in their room being a bit weird. Everyone kind of like slept through their alarm. Things a little bit, boots on the floor, things a little bit out of place where they hadn't been left. Some weird smells in some people's rooms. And then everyone on their way to school uh, either got stopped or walked through a door and out a different door into a never ending neighborhood. Uh, until they saw a stranger on a bench who pointed them into the darkness, at which they walked through to have two of our players have some weird changes happening in their body, and not the kind you normally expect in high school. As Jewel started to glow, and Roach got longer and taller and generally odd. And then as soon as they tried to go into the school, Aaron opened a door to a place where it shouldn't have been there. So our players had a little bit of time to adjust, kind of, maybe some crying, to whatever was happening, before making it through the rest of their day, going to sleep, and waking up in the sewer system, as one does on a Tuesday. And we left off in said sewer system with a dust cloud of spores that had taken Roach's form and were attacking her on the side of the ceiling. Um, we are gonna go around before we pick up and find out what happens in that combat. Or not combat. Running away, always a great option. When you're teenagers, you're being attacked by something, you don't need to fight it. You can run as fast as you want to. But before we find out what our players are going to choose, I'm gonna have everyone go around, introduce yourself with your own name, pronouns, where people can find you, anything else you have going on, and then character with your character name, pronouns, and your character's power or powers if you have two of them now. And we'll go around based on the order that you guys are in the overlay. So Vin, you're gonna go first.
Oh my gosh, hi. I'm Vin at VinVoxVA on most socials except Blue Sky, that's VinVox.com. And it's also my website. I am a voice actor and tabletop performer. And this afternoon I am playing Roach at any doll powers, I guess, and something a little special. Who knows?
Hi, I am Chanel Lees. You can find me pretty much anywhere at Chanel Lees. Easiest way to find me is on Twitch. And in my Twitch profile, you can see a link to my link tree where you can find all of my social medias and a little bit of bonus content, maybe even. I got some Spotify playlists for all the different characters that I've been playing. And today I am playing Jewel Madison Lynch. She, her, oh, also me, she, her, or Faye Femme. But yeah, she uses she, her pronouns, and she is not a luminary. What's it called? What is it?
Luminescent.
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 Thank you.
You were
She
you were
real
so close. Yeah.
so close. She real shiny. Um, and I think that's all I've been asked to say. So I think
Yeah.
that's not my
You're
turn
good. Yeah.
anymore. Okay, go ahead, Steve. Brah. Wait, wrong. There we go. Brah.
I am Steve. Best place to find me is on Threads. It's Tall Halfling RPG. Um, Today I'm playing Aaron Frost, our young photographer who suddenly seems to have access to his own private darkroom from any door in the world. He has new powers, but he doesn't know what they are, so we'll discover them together.
All right, and character pronouns and your pronouns.
Um, he they for Aaron, he him for me.
Perfect.
Thanks for
And
the
since
reminder.
I, no worries. Since I didn't introduce myself at the beginning, my name is Quinn. I will be your GM for today. I use any and all pronouns, and I can be found on Blue Sky at Quinn Beckham 27, and only on Blue Sky because having more than one social media would confuse my brain, and I wouldn't like it. Um, okay, so yeah, we left off with Roach about to be attacked. The way that combat works in this game is you do have like a split second moment right before where you can choose to either enter combat or, as I alluded to, enter a chase and just run if you don't feel like being attacked by a plant thing in the sewers. Um, what's everyone feeling? What do you feel like your character's instinct is in this moment? And I do think, Roach, since you're the one who would be about to be attacked, you probably have a little bit of precedent in this decision making. And I will say you can choose to enter, just because you enter combat doesn't mean you have to stay in the combat. You can choose to enter a chase at any time as long as it's the start of a new round. But what are we thinking for immediate? It is totally up to you guys.
Yeah, we're getting out of here. You know, just
Okay.
Roach is gonna book it.
Okay. Roach is feeling run. Yeah, yeah. And that seems to be the general consensus. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then we are going to go ahead and enter a chase. Um, anyone a meaningful amount of time exploring the sewer system underneath your town.
What
So I think you're just go for it.
I
Mhm.
okay, that was a hypothetical question. My neurodivergence kind of just jumped out there, and I realized like in past tense that that's a hypothetical question. But not a sewer, just like weird kid canal things. Very Craig of the Creek energy was a lot was like a 15% of my childhood. Please continue. Sorry for the interruption.
No worries. So yeah, I think you're just gonna run in, unless anyone wants to try and like find a direction. Again, I'm not sure what you would be looking for exactly. But if anyone wants to try and be like, I want to run towards this, you're free to. Otherwise, I'm just going to rule that you just start running, straight, basically.
Yeah,
In
we
the
didn't come here
moment,
by under our own power, so we don't
yeah.
know which way is which. So
Yeah, you just woke up here.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, okay, cool. You're just gonna start running. I was trying to find the chase page to like hold it up and show it off because I have
Ooh.
pretty physical book with my bookmarks in it for today. So much easier than opening the 400-page PDF, even though I love the 400-page PDF.
Mm.
Um, yeah, chases. Where's the fun little chase graphic? Here it is. Um, Normally when we are running in person, you guys would get to see your little chase die. The way it works is I set a dice to show how far away you are from the monster, and to
Oh.
show how much
Sorry.
time you have. We're over a screen, so it's a little bit harder for me to like show you guys that information. But I'm going to set up your distance die. You are gonna start pretty close to the monster because it was like coming at you. um, so unfortunately, it is kind of right behind you. Um, and then you have your uh time die. By which point, if you reach the end, you will reach an escape. So here is your
Wow, that's a really
time
cool
die.
mechanic. The little gasp I did is because I was fangirling over the mechanic.
I'm glad, it's very fun. Um, the way that chases work in a little bit more detail is it is a group collective role. half or more of you need to pass. So for a game of 3 players, that does mean that I need 2 of you to pass, which makes it a little more difficult.
Mm.
2 out of the 3 of you. To start, you're just kind of running in a straight line. I don't really know what I can. There's not a ton of options for what to rule that as, other than just straight. So it's going to be an athletics check. Um, this monster is a D10 monster. So
Ooh.
everything you roll against it's going to be a D10. You guys did level up after last session. So
Yeah.
hopefully someone leveled up athletics.
Did
Um,
I? I don't think I did. Oh no,
so
I
go
did.
ahead. Oh,
Sorry.
there
Sorry.
we
I stop. This is why I usually mute my mic. So it's just my mouth moving to myself.
go. Yeah, go ahead and everybody give me an athletics check, and let's see if you can get away from this thing.
It's a D10 you said, right?
Yeah,
Okay. And that's this weird looking
and you
guy.
just have to pass. You don't have to get any. Oh well, we already have 2 people who failed.
Yeah, I've got
So
an 8/3,
I got
and
a
uh,
that's after
5
upgrading.
oh,
over. You said athletics?
yeah.
Ooh, I got a 5/6.
Yeah, I got a 5/2.
Okay, not the most athletic group. Um,
Track star coming in clutch.
yeah. The track star does pass, but that's only 1 success out of our group.
Mm.
So you are moving. Basically, no matter if you fail or pass the check, you're moving, but basically the monster is moving faster than you are. So you move on the time like you're making progress. But the monster also moves closer to you.
Mm.
It's not quite like right on top of you yet, but it's very close to being right on top of you. You you're running down this tunnel. The only light in here is coming from Jewel being currently glowing a little bit in your like multicolor kind of pulsing glow. Um and you run and you get to a point where you do have an option. You can turn. It's a left or right or straight. Like you get to kind of like a cross. Does anyone want to make me a? I'll say perception or I'll say perception or streetwise to try and just like make a snap second navigation of which one of these tunnels. Where do we go? And if
That's a little
multiple
D10.
people want to make it, yeah. Oh no,
Okay.
that would be a D8 because it's not against the monster specifically.
Not
Okay.
surprisingly, our photographer is pretty good at perception,
Yeah, yeah.
Three
so that
over
is 8.
Oh,
7. Oh, sorry.
oh,
Go for it. I talk
yeah.
over you.
Ooh, that's
If
a crit.
multiple people
That's
want to
2
roll, you
under 7.
can. Uh, but yeah, if people are critting, okay, you can get a couple. You get information basically. The way I'm gonna say this is because 2 of you rolled. You each kind of get information about the different paths. Straight ahead of you, it just seems like it continues into more of the same. Like it's just a dark corridor going straight ahead. You notice that there's kind of been like that growth on the ceiling
Mm.
above you that seems to turn and like go off to the right. You also notice that from that direction you hear what sounds like footsteps. Like it sounds like there might be people down that way.
Same way that the
Um,
monster went.
the same way that the kind of path above you on the ceiling is going. Um, the other direction to your left also seems to be just kind of dark, but it seems like it might also go a little bit like more at not like it's not like a steep like it's going straight down, but there's a little bit more of like an angle to the path to your left. So the only one where
Mm.
really anything interesting is happening is to your right. But you're not quite sure if it is good interesting or bad interesting.
I think in the heat of the moment, Jewel would want to go towards people and not go down in an underground thing. So I
You
think
could
she's
also
gonna
go
want to go to
again.
the right.
Straight is just the same way. Like
Oh,
nothing
there's
seems
three
different to the
options.
straight. Yeah, yeah. You could
Oh,
also
excuse
just keep
me.
going straight and there's nothing different than what you've been doing. But the
So
only way you're hearing
okay.
people is to the right. So
So
then like
straight is
not
the
left.
same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
is people and the monster seems to want to go to that in that direction. And left is going slightly down.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I established at the beginning before we press live that Jewel is maybe a little bit too trusting, so I think she wants to go to people.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a strong feeling about which direction you go? Because you can always kind of like grab each other's arm and try and pull. But the way if once one person expresses an opinion in a chase, I normally say like Jewel starts going to the right. If anyone wants to grab her arm and try and be like, nope, this way, you can. But you all see Jewel start to veer off to the right.
hmm I think like just in the moment I gotta stop saying in the moment. She's it's natural to go straight, but I think as she gets to that intersection and she realizes that there's places to turn, she kind of like does a kind of a sideways, kind of like ooh and then starts heading to the right. But she was gonna keep going straight. She didn't see an option until just the last moment.
Okay, sounds like right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can you remind us what this monster like looks like? I remember there were spores, but
yeah. So the thing that was chasing you was basically like it started out as just kind of a cloud of spores. Again, think if you've seen any like poison ivy where she like blows and there's kind of like a cloud of like swirling greenish. In this case it's like a darker green but kind of almost glowing in its own sense, except it's not making any light. But it sort of like floated around as a cloud for a bit, and then it looked at Roach, and it like took the physical shape of Roach. It still looks like spores. It just looks like Roach's body made up of a bunch of spores, and it is following behind you.
Mm.
Um, so it looked like it kind of like looked at you and mimicked you to like borrow your form, but it's still very much not physical. Like it still very much is just a cloud of spores in the shape of a person who happens to be Roach. And it's like it's not touching the ground either. Like it's very much like floating through the air as it follows after you. So it is pretty fast.
You know
And
that meme of the guy jumping or falling from the ceiling or whatever, and another guy running away? That's
yeah,
that's what I'm
yeah, yeah,
imagining.
yeah. Okay, so you're turning and going down another hallway. Again, you're pretty much just straight running. Normally in a chase, you like vary the different checks that you make based on the actions that you're taking, but I can't think of anything for you to do other than run.
It's slippery
Unless,
in here.
yeah, it is slippery in here, that is true. But I would say the other option is if anyone wants to do a chase action, instead of rolling, you can try and attack the monster. You can try and do something to slow it down. That does forfeit your roll, but you can definitely still interact with your environment in some way if you want to try and do something towards the monster.
Mm.
In if you think you're gonna fail the athletics check anyway, you can try and do something to slow the monster down.
Ooh, I like that
Or
too.
yeah,
This is a cool
yeah, but
game.
you're the only one with good athletics, so you might wanna.
No, that was me fangirling over the game mechanics again.
So yeah, either make the athletics check, or if there's something else you want to
Oh,
do, let me know.
we're rolling a d10 again.
Yes,
Okay, I completely didn't understand that that was a call to action.
no worries.
A 7 on 7.
Okay,
That's what it is, right? Athletic, her athletic, bleh. If I could pronounce the word athletics, no, her athletics is 6. It's her perception that's 7, so she failed that.
okay,
Ow!
okay.
I
Tracks
think
are
she falls
failed.
in the water again.
Okay, anyone past that, or do we have an unathletic group here?
Oh, I didn't know we were all rolling
Yeah,
it. Let me
everyone
so
roll.
far.
Yeah,
All
chase
right.
checks is always everyone. Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, big money, no whammies.
a 1 under 3.
Okay,
Ooh!
okay. We got one success.
Athletics, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 over 2.
If everyone passed except for the track star, that would have been really funny. Um,
Just go face plants in the
yeah,
sewer water again.
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, so you do again. You continue making like forward motion. You are going down this tunnel further, except the monster is going faster than you, and at this point, it is essentially on top of you. So everyone who failed that check needs to make me a um currently you can block or dodge just any kind of like defensive roll because this thing is flying after you and the arms in air quotes because they're not real arms, the thing that it has that looks like arms are extending forward and reaching out and trying to like grab onto the two people who failed, in this case the two who would be closest to it. Block is your strike, and then dodge is your reflex. And again, this is a D10 monster, because you guys get to level up more eventually. But
Mm.
for right now, it is might be a little bit hard to fight this.
All right, what side are we rolling with?
Uh,
Oh,
D10 either rolling against your strike or your reflex, whichever is higher.
I'm gonna roll
Alright.
reflex. This is a D8. No, it's a D10. I still don't know the feel of the different shapes are yet. Oh, oh, that's a 9.
Oh.
That's a 9 over a 5, as if that even mattered. That it was a 5. Actually, it wouldn't matter because it would crit, right? A bad crit.
No, thankfully there is no negative crit. There's only
Oh,
positive crits.
interesting. Okay.
On the line.
Okay.
Um oh no, wait, never mind. Fuck. Over the line. 6 over
I,
5. Damn it.
I.
So yeah, you both feel this thing. It's a very weird sensation because again, it doesn't have a real hand. It's not really fully. It sort of like pulls you backwards, and I am now going to say that both of you fall backwards into the water, so it knocks you both prone, and you're both going to take just 4 points of damage.
Okay.
But now two of you are prone, which means you have to stand back up. And Aaron, you see this, and the cloud is sort of like towering over the two of them.
Still made of spores.
Yeah, still just made of spores. Yeah.
Also, because I just
While the other two are working on getting up, it is a stupid, useless thing to do, but Aaron's turning back and screaming at this thing to go away, leave us alone. And suddenly he's spraying it with bug spray that he didn't have a moment ago. He kind of stares at that.
Hmm.
He thinks about it for a moment, and in his other hand, he has a lighter.
Let's go, Aaron.
Amazing. Yeah, that just sort of popped into existence out of nowhere for reasons that you'll probably want to contemplate at a later time and not right now.
Yeah, I'm not asking questions right now.
Yeah, yeah. Vin, was there something you were gonna say? And
Oh,
then
I was gonna
yeah.
ask about our health because I adjusted every number except that one when it came
No worries. Health is is 20 plus your tenacity times 2.
okay,
So whatever your number is in your tenacity, you're gonna double that and then add 20 to it. Uh,
32
Aaron,
baby.
woo, uh, Aaron, why don't you go ahead and roll to hit because you're making an attack. That would roll with perception because it is
Mhm.
ranged.
And I'm rolling a what?
A D10.
D10. Okay. Right on. 7 over 7.
Okay. Perfect. 7 over 7 does hit. However, we're getting into the realm of opposed. So the monster gets to try and dodge out of the way. which it's probably going to do because that's a very good roll. Should have the monster stats open since we are in combat, or kind of vaguely. Um, yeah, the monster got 4 degrees of success on that attempt to get out of the way. However, this is a spray weapon, is what you're doing. And so
Mhm.
spray weapons always do half damage even on a miss. The idea being that, like, you're spraying in a wide area, so even as it, like, dodges the main effect, you're still hitting it a little bit. This is a pretty simple sprayer. I am going to say the damage on that is probably,
As defined in the book, 1d6.
oh,
Because I
perfect.
originally was having that on in my inventory, but I never figured out how to have him actually figure it out with actual objects. But it's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So we rolled a
Magically
5, so
appearing
half of
works.
5.
Okay, perfect. I will mark some damage on the monster for that. And you notice in particular, because you sprayed it with bug spray, and it seems to be pretty unhappy about that.
Hmm.
Actually, it seems like it really isn't a big fan of the bug spray.
I don't think I've ever
Um,
met anyone or anything that likes bug spray,
yeah,
but point taken.
You know what
fair.
though? I like the smell. Wait, is it bug spray or like off? It's bug. It's like bug killing spray, not like mosquito repellent.
Well, as I understand the rules, it is as generic as it can possibly be.
Oh,
No.
it's probably, okay. It's probably the bug
It's just
killing
like a
spray.
completely, like,
Okay.
blank can. It has like nothing on it. It's not a brand. It's not labeled. You just know what it is, like, inherently. You're like bug spray. Because you were thinking about bug spray, and then you had bug spray, which has
Mm.
never happened to you before, but it's there now, and it seems really useful. Um, Basically, the monster is going to lose an action of, like, it would be able to attack you again, but it is busy trying to get out of the way of this, so you all have a chance to stand back up and get off of the ground, assuming that's what you would like to do. You don't have to, technically. You could take a different action if you don't want to stand up, but I'm gonna assume that you do. And then I'm assuming we're continuing to run. Again, if you want to stop and fight, you can, but if we're continuing to run, I like the it's slippery here, and you're really trying hard. Like, you've been just kind of running, but you are, now that you're two of you are a little bit more drenched, and trying to run while being wet and gross, along this, like, slippery, gross, disgusting ground. Go ahead and make me an agility check instead. We'll switch it up. And this is, again, everyone rolling.
And it's still a D10.
And
No,
still a
it's a
D10.
D8. Oh,
Still a
D10 because it's
D10.
against
Yeah.
the monster.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Chase checks your opposing, quote unquote, the monster.
That agility, that's 3 under 4. Oof. Why is her agility so low? Oh no, it's not. It's just that she has like 2 stats that are crazy high, and it makes everything else look weird. Okay, yeah.
3/2.
The bug spray seems to be working, so I think gonna try it again and hopefully give
Mhm.
these guys a chance to get ahead a little bit.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
Giving everyone a bit of a boost.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead and roll that again as an attack.
that is spot on for the second time. 7 under 7.
Ooh.
Nice. Let's see what the monster does. I rolled a 1. Yeah, the
Oh,
monster gets that by many degrees, but again, still half damage. You're also noticing though that the interesting other effect this is having is the monster is stopped trying to get closer to you. As you're doing this, it for some reason it's not moving after you anymore. It's kind of just staying where it is. So again, you do half damage. So
yep.
go ahead and roll that.
I rolled a 6, so 3 points.
Nice. Yes. I think I did that correctly. If I have to keep calculating damage, I'm gonna need to get my calculator out.
Yeah.
Uh, made a post on my Blue Sky yesterday. I'm gay and I have dyscalculia. Don't expect me to do any math without a calculator. Um,
So
okay. So yeah, it does seem like that is especially helping because it's not chasing after your friends. You're not gaining any distance from it because you kind of had to hold your ground. But the other two are getting further away, even on failing their checks, and you are technically putting distance between yourselves and the monster because it is no longer pursuing. What are I think we're gonna stick with Aaron for a second because you're the one who is holding your ground here. What are you doing next? Are you gonna just keep trying to shoot fire and bug spray at this thing?
Um, I was going to ask a question, but I have no way of knowing the answer, so I guess I
Mhm.
will experiment.
Yeah.
Going to take a moment away from blasting fire at this thing and spraying myself down with the bug spray on the theory that if I smell like this nasty stuff, maybe it'll leave me alone.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. You do that, and again, it seems like it's kind of doing the same thing. Like it is moving towards kind of vaguely, but not. Are you just gonna like spray yourself with bug spray and stand like perfectly still? Or are you gonna try and do something?
Well, if I can spray myself and give it another blast, that's even better. But didn't want to assume.
Yeah. I'm gonna say for now, for the sake of like your experiment in terms of just like spraying yourself down, it does seem like it moves and then it sort of like again stops and goes back. It seems like it's trying to get around you, but it doesn't seem like it's trying to attack you directly. So you
Okay,
think that maybe
useful to
yeah,
know.
it doesn't either it doesn't like the smell, it can't detect you when you're in the smell, but it detects something like you've done something to kind of mess with its perception is what it seems like. And then do you want to spray it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna call after these two. Uh, seems not to like bug spray. Uh,
What?
okay, that's a little bit better. That's a crit. That's a 2 under 7.
Okay, very nice. And that's I rolled a lot worse. So yeah, that is a full success. And so roll your d6.
5 points.
Okay, gonna double check that on the calculator. Okay, um, yeah. At this point, it's still there. Like you haven't disintegrated or dissolved it, but it's not happy with any of what's going on. And again, it doesn't seem like it even fully knows where you are right now. Like it's trying to find you,
Oh,
but it's not doing a very good job. And so it just kind of gives up and flies the other direction. Like it's just kind of like, screw this. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not making any progress. And it leaves. It flies away. The other two of you are still running. But I'm not gonna. You don't need to keep making checks because you're no longer, whether you know it or not, you're no longer being pursued.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, Aaron, you're just standing there with like your can of bug spray and your lighter, and you can pursue after it or like try and get it one more time as it's leaving, but it's not like fleeing you. It's more just like it got confused and it's like, well, there's nothing here for me to attack, so I guess I'm gonna go try and find something somewhere else.
um, yeah, I don't think I'm feeling brave enough to go marching after it or anything, but uh, turn and start catching up,
Mhm.
or at least following.
Yeah, yeah. The other two of you have been running, and you realize eventually, like, you like hear footsteps from behind you, which you assume is Aaron, and you like look over your shoulder and you see him just walking, like not running or like lightly jogging, like he's not sprinting anymore, and you don't see anything behind him.
Okay. You're cooking something.
So are we? What the fuck was that?
Is Roach stopping?
Their pace is like slowed now they've noticed that like Aaron is walking normally.
Okay. I think so the I'm gonna say like role play wise those roles that Jewel not lost failed was due to like once again she's like a teenager trying to learn to drive a car for the first time in that she doesn't like when she's shiny she goes faster than she thinks so she's doing that like thing. So that's when she gets falling over and stuff. Um, and so she's been really struggling to keep pace with Roach, but she's also panicking. She wants to like book it and sprint and go. But if she even like without the shiny speed powers, like her full stride probably would leave everybody in the dust because she's pretty tall and she's pretty fast. Um, so as Roach is slowing down, as the energy seems to get more into a conversation than a chase, she tries to match that energy, but she just ends up doing that thing again where her hands are like, I gotta put my iPad down. Her hands are just like, and she's freaking out because she's in a gross place and she's covered in muck and she wants to go. She just wants to go home and take a shower. So she's just there like doing like the oops. She's like, what do you call that? Going like this with her feet and go like this with her hands in place.
I guess my
Yeah.
question now is how deep are we?
Mm.
Like, do we see any lights? Is there like a sewer grate above us?
Yeah. Anyone who wants to can go ahead and roll a perception check to try and figure out because you weren't quite sure where you were to begin with, and now you're trying to figure out where you are relative to where you were, which could be anywhere. So it is going to be a little bit of like a pause. And again, everyone can roll if you want to,
Mm-hmm.
but I just need one person at least to pass on a D8 perception check.
D8.
Jewel is definitely like anxiously looking around her.
Mhm.
3 under 7. That's perception, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 under 7.
7 under 7.
Okay. So two people passing, no crits though.
Finally. God damn. Two under one.
Ooh. Wait, huh?
um.
Two
As
and
in,
one.
my
You rolled a
perception is
one.
two and I rolled a
Okay,
one.
One.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool, 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 cool. I just
Um.
heard it. I heard it wrong.
So everyone is able to gather the same information because nobody crits, which is you can tell like relative to where you were, you haven't gone like further underground. You've stayed at the same level. You definitely you're moving kind of just around. You're assuming you're like under the city. It's a little bit hard to tell again like exactly where because you're not totally sure where you started. But the main thing you notice is the sounds of people. You'd heard like some footsteps before are getting a lot closer. They sound like they're coming from Jenna just down the tunnel to the right, and you're also picking up on. I mean, it sounds like just like a lot of people. Like at first you heard like a couple, and now it sounds like there's a good crowd of people walking to the right of you, relatively close to where you are. You also notice that the green plant growth is still on the ceiling above you and is leading in that direction, is leading in the direction where you hear all of the noises. And those of you before, like as Aaron comes up, you get the very strong smell of bug spray. But in the split second before he walks up, the other two of you catch that like sickly sweet smell again, which also seems to be getting stronger, but then you're overwhelmed by like bug spray, which is a pretty overpowering smell because he just sprayed a bunch of it on himself. So, Aaron, you only smell bug spray.
Yeah, but it seemed like it couldn't find me. And he's holding out the can if anybody else wants to be prepared if we meet another one of those things.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, you're good, kid.
Jewel goes like this and prepares to be sprayed down. She does that like
Oof.
squinchy face, like the sunscreen spray face, or the bug spray face. The kid spray face. The kid about to get hosed down face.
Yeah. So two of us are theoretically protected if we meet another one.
Uh, You couldn't tell this when you sprayed yourself, Aaron, because you can't look at yourself. But when you spray Jewel, you do see that same thing you noticed earlier of like there's a little bit of very like it looks like little like microscopic like really tiny like beads almost like kind of moving underneath her skin for just a second in a way that looks uncomfortable and irritated. It's like and then they go away. Like just in the instant as you spray her, you notice that effect happening under her skin
Oh,
as the spray hits, and then it goes away.
did she feel it?
Not really. It's so
Okay.
small you don't really notice.
Okay, Quinn,
Uh
I figured out what the monster is kind of a little bit, and I hate it. And bravo. Ew. Ah. Okay, continue. Sorry.
yeah, the name of this episode is infected for no
Ah, I
particular reason.
know. Mm. I hate it. Excellent work.
So yeah, you notice that, and you can I think like Roach and Aaron notice that, but Jewel again, you don't really feel it. So it's up to the other two if you inform Jewel of what you see. If you're just like, she doesn't need to know that.
I think my theory is we'll talk about it later, but we are
I
under quite enough stress
may
down
I
here already.
propose may I propose a contested role? Is there like a composure slash perception kind of thing? I don't
Um,
like
yeah, you can roll focus
deception
if you want to.
slash
Yeah,
me focus
yeah, focus would be what I would roll for that if you want to.
to find out if I have something on me. Like I'm
Yeah.
thinking like does
Ah.
Aaron make a face like ooh that Jewel
Mm,
picks up on? Is what
okay,
I'm thinking.
that would be more perception. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, focus is the composure roll. But if you're trying to
Okay.
notice something in Aaron, it would be perception.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Can we do
Mm.
like a Aaron's focus
Mm.
against Jules' perception to see if
Yeah.
he's able to keep himself from like
Hmm.
I'm what do you think, Steve? Is that something Aaron would not want? Because
Yeah.
I would say like from the little bit of time that y'all have spent with Jewel, you kind of know she's gonna lose it. She's gonna lose it. You might not want her to lose it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I'm kind of
Yeah.
wondering whether it's focus or whether it's like deception.
Yeah, I was saying
Uh,
I'll give you
Yeah.
multiple options, like if you want to do deception or even like stealth.
Mm,
To like stealth is how inconspicuously you can act is one of the things listed under stealth. So stealth, deception, either I'd say either of those works depending on what your highest is, and then your definitely perception from Jewel.
okay, and it's a D8
D
again or
uh
D10?
technically you are rolling against each other and every roll made against someone with powers is a D10.
Ooh, okay. That's this one. Okay, I'm starting to realize that the D10 has 5 on one side, which makes sense because it's 5 times 2. Oh, an 8 over 7.
that's a 10 over, well, 4 if it's deception, 5 if it's stealth, but it's a 10.
Oh,
So I'm correct, you both fail?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So Aaron makes a really noticeable face, but Jewel, you don't pick up on it because your eyes are closed because you're doing the squinty face. You're
Yeah.
like,
She's got sewer water. She's got bug spray. She's like,
yeah, you're not even looking. Roach, I think this is funny. Like, Roach notices this exchange and notices, like, Aaron looks really grossed out. Jewel looks really uncomfortable, but not for the reasons you think Jewel should be uncomfortable because you see the little moving things. Um, But yeah, you're now doused in bug spray, and you're still standing in the sewers. Um, what are people
At least we
thinking?
can't smell the sewers anymore.
No, you can only smell bug spray now, which is quite
True.
nice potentially. Quite nice comparatively.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on between you two, but I'm going home.
Yeah, home.
Goodbye.
Which way's home?
Which way is home?
There's people over there. It sounds like it, at least.
Oh, I thought we were above ground. My bad.
Not yet, I think. On porch.
Yeah, you're still in the sewers, yeah.
Okay. Let me see.
Yeah, basically right now your options are back the way you came or towards the direction of people.
Yeah. It's gonna go in the direction of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, are you all going in a people-wise direction?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, you walk, kind of continuing down this hall. It comes to a point where you have to turn. There's no other option, so you make a left, and then you turn to the left, and you see as you're walking, there is like a little corridor leading back to the right that seems to lead into a bigger, like, again, you're in like hallway, you're in like small, kind of like rounded ceiling, like enclosed hallway, where the ceiling is not that tall above you. It seems like there is an opening into what appears to be a room, um and that is where you're hearing a lot of the footsteps coming from. You can start to see and like look through the door because it is open, and you do see a good handful of people gathered in this room. You
Mm.
can't quite tell what they're doing. They're like standing with their backs to the door, in like kind of like a semicircle looking arrangement. They do seem to mostly just be standing there. Like you see a couple other people like walk up and join them and then just stand there.
Okay. Is there a light source in this room?
Not really. It's a little bit lighter than where you are right now, but in more of like an ambient kind of light way.
Okay.
It's
So
definitely
she's
not
brighter
bright.
than the room.
Yeah, Jewel's a little
Okay.
bit brighter, yeah.
I think Jules tries to like dimmer switch down as uh they approach.
Yeah. In fact, as you approach, can everyone go ahead and give me stealth? And those of you who are sprayed with the bug spray, go ahead and add a +1 to that. So it would be adding a +1 to your stealth. This will just be a D8.
A D8. Okay.
Even with the +1, that's a 7/6.
Ooh. I
This is a group
have
roll, so I only need 2 of you to pass. So
it's
meaning the
stealth
other 2. Yeah, stealth. Yeah.
2/6, including the +1.
Okay.
Okay, I think I've been saying these little coin phrases wrong. It is a 1 under 3.
Okay. Yeah. So you rolled a 1, but your skill's a 3.
Yes.
Okay. So you pass, and then Jewel also passes, right?
Yes. I said it wrong. I said over. I should say under, but
Yeah.
I said it like a fraction.
Yeah. I think I knew what you meant. I just kind of forgot what
Yeah.
numbers you said. So 2 out of the 3 of you pass, so it doesn't matter that Aaron's a little bit louder. So you're able to sort of sneak up and like peer into the room, and you don't think that anyone inside has noticed you. As you get closer, the image of what's happening inside of this room starts to get clearer. You can note that the stuff growing on the ceiling continues to grow, like coming into this room, and inside you see what appears to be a absolutely massive growth of this stuff, sort of just growing out of the ground in a pile that is just like towering over these people, like significantly taller than all of these people who are standing around it. It's that same kind of like gross green color, like a combination of like gross green and a little bit of like black. And it does seem like, again, it's like that. We had a really good like term of describing it because it's like that kind of like reverse
Or like a
bioluminescence.
black light.
Yeah, like that kind of like black light effect all around it. Um, and there are a bunch of people. In fact, Jewel, you recognize as you get closer, Alice, who is the person on the track team who you had talked to, who seemed really tired and kind of out of it. And you had clocked a couple different people at your school who all seem kind of tired and out of it. And you're clocking that everyone you've noticed who seemed tired and out of it is all here. And there's just a bunch of people gathered around this thing, and it's growing, and again it's all along the ceiling. It's in this huge sort of mound. um Everyone who you see, again, you're sort of right now just seeing people's backs, but you see a couple more people entering into the room. Like you see Alice enter through like a different door and come over and just sort of stand here facing the thing. And I would normally make you make a perception check for this, but you've been catching on to it with everyone else, so you kind of know what to look for. You do see some people that movement under the skin is a little bit bigger and a little bit more obvious than it was with you. It's a little bit worse. Including Alice has that like a little bit worse effect going on. And for now, everyone does just seem to be standing around in this room facing this thing. Um, Everyone is going to need to make me a fear check, which is your focus. Again, that's your composure stat.
Mm-hmm.
As you are seeing, you already got attacked by the spores, and that was weird and gross and scary. And now you're seeing like the sheer. It's not scary necessarily to look at this thing, but it's the sheer enormity of how big it is and how many people are in this room. It's not a huge room, but it is basically with the size of the monster and the amount of people, it's starting to get like crowded to the point where there's nowhere else to stand in the room. Um
Mm.
there's probably over 50 people in here, which is concerning because that's a lot of people. Uh and that's a big fungusy spore mossy looking thing. And you're sort of realizing like, oh, this isn't just a bunch of spores that form the shape of people. Like that we found the source. That's where that's coming from. So everyone go ahead and roll me a D10 focus check to see if we can keep our composure.
Uh, we're rolling. You said sorry. What? I was taking a note, and I can't. I don't know numbers. What did you tell me to do?
D10 focus check.
Okay. Thank you. Ooh, a 3 under 4.
Okay, so that passes.
A 6/2.
Okay.
And a 9/6.
Okay, so one pass, two failures. If you pass, you Jewel is able to keep her composure. Like you see this thing and it's gross, but you're like, yeah, you cover you don't scream.
She wants to, but she physically stops herself from
Yeah.
screaming. Yeah.
The other two of you are going to need to give me a d6 roll. You're rolling on the shock table to see how you react to seeing this thing. And then I will need you to tell me one of your fears.
It's a 3 over here.
Okay? 3 is scream. You scream loudly or yell an expletive. Anyone in long range will hear it.
6.
Okay. That is petrified. You are frozen in fear for 30 seconds and cannot take any actions during this time. A friend can make an assertion roll as an action at the difficulty class of the monster to help you snap out of it. So Jewel covers her mouth to keep from screaming, which would be super effective if not for the fact that Aaron next to you just starts screaming. Or what do you think? What does Aaron particularly do? Like, are you cursing really loudly? Are you just like screaming? Um, what particularly is Aaron doing?
Oh man. I think it's incoherent. Um,
Just making noise.
yeah. Um, you asked about fears. neither is entirely relevant, unless, well, okay. So my two specific fears for Aaron are fear of ghosts and social anxiety. Um, a crowd of people who actually have something visibly wrong with them, I think might be setting
But
off the
trigger some
social
social
anxiety.
anxiety. Yeah, yeah. Um, okay, so the monster gains the benefit for it, problem for you. Um, and so yeah, with socialing, do you have it written down, or do you want me to look it up? What the monster gains
After
from that
encountering this
fear?
monster, all players take on additional stress.
Oh, fun! Love that for you. Yeah, remember how on the first night you guys like barely took any stress?
Yeah. I
That
don't
was
think we
so
took
great for you.
any. Oh
Yeah,
no, I took
I
one.
think
I
you
can't
you took
remember from what.
one. You
Yeah.
took one from noticing that people were kind of off and
Oh yeah.
acting kind of weird. Um, so yeah, okay, I have it open. So yeah, all players will take one. So everyone go ahead and we'll mark that down right now. Everyone go ahead and take one extra bonus stress. You will take more after the encounter's over. But just so we don't forget, everyone go ahead and mark that one stress now. And
Mm.
yeah, everyone sort of notices this, not just Aaron, that like it almost feels like the monster gets a little bit bigger and like the space becomes even more constricted as Aaron you start like breathing a little bit faster, and again you're just like screaming and making kind of incoherent noises. Roach meanwhile is just frozen in fear. What is your you can pick from the two that you have on your sheet for your fear effect.
I think scopophobia, how you pronounce it, would probably work with the fear of being watched with all these different bodies and states. Maybe a couple have their eyes open and it just petrifies them.
Hmm. Yeah, so that is players have disadvantage on site-based stealth rolls. So if you have to roll stealth again, you will all have disadvantage on that. Um, and yeah, a couple things happen from that. One of which is you notice that again, these people are kind of like they don't look fully awake. They look like they're in a trance, but their eyes are open. And as Aaron starts screaming, every person in exact unison, like exactly at the same time, turns and looks at you. And that I think triggers Roach of like fear of being watched, of you now have 50 pairs of eyes all on you. And in fact, the monster itself, again, this like massive um like it not quite like I'm trying to think of what to compare the size of this thing to. Like it's not quite the size of like a house. Uh but like it's definitely like potentially like small building ish sized. It takes up the it like floor to ceiling, it takes up the whole space in this room. Uh Across the surface of the monster, hundreds of eyes just open and look at you. Because monsters mutate to take on your fears as it senses your fear. Both, I think it's on both of yours, like the combo social anxiety and being watched. Not only does it seem to get even bigger, but it's now directly watching you. Um, and all of these people just start to, in unison again, like one foot, another foot, like they just
Mm-mm.
start walking towards you. And you also notice, as if it wasn't bad enough, you're able to clock as you're looking in, like the monster seems to have these little like black sort of like nodes on it, like little openings, and it starts like puffing out spores.
Mm-mm.
I'm assuming you're all turning and running away, except Roach
Yeah.
can't,
As
because
soon
Roach
as
is frozen.
Aaron started to scream, I think to no avail. I keep wanting to say her name is Star and it's not. Jewel would try to cover his mouth. Of course that didn't, like, I'm not even gonna try to roll
Yeah,
for that or anything. It didn't work.
it's
He
too late.
screamed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But in doing that, she's already kind of facing Aaron. I just kind of assuming that she entered the room first.
Mhm.
so she kind of turns back towards them. She's looking over her shoulder. So when she's seeing all of this happen, I think she just instinctively like grabs for a wrist for Aaron and Roach, and then tries to go, and in feeling like the just lack of movement from Roach, she's gonna make that assertion
Assertion.
attempt
Yeah.
to try to be like, come on, let's go, like we gotta go.
Gotta get out of here. Yeah, yeah.
She only has a 2 in that because I gave her like nothing in presence. And that's rolling a d8, right? Or d10 because against another person with powers.
Yes, D10 against another person with powers. Yeah,
Okay, come on. I didn't have a
and
conversation.
against the monster.
I've
Yeah.
heard you're supposed to have a conversation with your boys before the game, and I didn't do that, so I'm just gonna have to ask now. Please, please, a 1 or like, please. You need to understand for this game, a 1 is good. Okay, please. Okay.
You gotta reprogram your dice to play Emergent.
So on a d10, a 0 is a 10, right?
Yes.
Got the wrong idea. Okay, that was not what I was asking for, but thanks for trying. I would throw you, but I only have 1 set of dice.
That's the problem. You gotta get more sets of dice so you can put that one in dice jail.
Yes.
So
Well, technically, I could use the percentile dice of the d10.
you could.
All right.
Yeah.
Time
You
out.
try to do that. Uh, just throw it across the room.
As is
Um,
tradition.
yeah, as you must. You try and go, and again, and you're like, come on, come on. To Roach, but it is just like trying to move. It's like trying to move a brick wall. Like
Mm.
Roach is just in place and not moving.
Sorry, I got really hot all of a sudden.
No
I was
worries.
trying to find my remote for my fan. Okay.
Um, if the people are moving toward us, are they still like right immediately around this thing, or have they made any distance?
They're starting to move away from it. Yeah.
Say more than 10 feet away.
Um, not yet, but they definitely will continue.
Okay.
If you guys can't do anything, since Roach isn't moving, like within another couple of seconds, they will get to the point where there is no one within 10 feet of the monster. So I think whatever you're thinking, you can go ahead and do it. You have to kind of like stand there for a second
Yep.
as you like notice that Roach is just not budging. Um, and then yeah, what are you thinking?
Um, yeah, I this is really just a different variation on the same ability, so I don't think Aaron needs to discover it separately.
No.
Also, it only works once a day, so that would be kind of
Yeah.
crippling. Um, as he's staring at all these eyes and all of these people, and Roach is frozen. He's closing his eyes and thinking really, 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 really hard. Um, and a basically a very large version of what he just did with the bug spray and the lighter um, materializes on or right next to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he is using Deus Ex Machina to create um, well, an object or event. This is kind of both. Um, Creating a large explosive um, with an elemental mod. One of the options being toxic, in this case being bug spray, which would be really, really, really awful for all of us. Except that Ex Machina only operates within a 10-foot area, so
Area,
the
yeah.
fireball and the stench should be
Should be
contained.
contained. Should be contained.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll even say like you can choose because this thing is so large. You can kind of have it manifest like again, it's like a pile, like a mountain. So there's parts of it that are like the main part of it reaches the ceiling, but also you can have it like above a part of it, so it's even further away from the people. Um, and yeah, do you have to roll anything for that, or that just? I believe everything in that just happens. Um, and you will note that this monster cannot dodge because it's like so big that it is kind of stuck in place. Um, so it can't do anything to try and avoid this. So if you're rolling explosive damage, you can just go ahead and roll that.
Yeah. If you use this to create a stronger weapon, explosive, blah blah blah, it counts as up to a severe 66 unavoidable environmental hazard. Um, Sadly, I can't maintain it
Yeah.
because I only have one.
Yeah, it's a once type of a thing. That's definitely a once type of deal. Yeah, go ahead and
So
roll your damage.
6d6 is a total of 24.
Okay. Yeah, you notice that it sort of like it kind of blows a hole in part of the thing. Again, it's very big, so it's not the most noticeable. Uh, it blows a hole in part of it, like again, it like almost like think like moss in terms of like texture and like feeling. Like kind of just goes flying and like splatters, hitting like the wall and hitting some of the people. And then pretty quickly it like starts to regrow and like patch over itself where you damaged it.
Hmm.
But it
Okay.
does seem it's hard to tell anything about how much you impact this thing because it is so big and it can't make expressions, it's just eyes. You definitely blow a couple of eyes off of it, but then even as the new stuff starts to form over, more eyes open on the new stuff that starts to form over. But you did definitely blast a hole in it, and it is not as big as it once was. um we'll say that, and I will mark that damage down. uh Here. You said 24?
24.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't seem to do anything, unfortunately, to impact the people who are just marching towards you. Anyone or both of you want to go ahead and give me a perception check?
D10.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then you can as well as your. Well, no, you're frozen. Actually, you can't do anything, unfortunately.
How long is
Um,
a 30? Is it like a 6 seconds kind of thing, like D&D, or like how many? How long is a 30 seconds?
A round is 10 seconds.
Ah, so three
You're not
rounds.
really in combat, but it would be 3 rounds. The people who are moving towards you are not moving very fast because they're all moving like in unison steps and they are walking.
Mm.
Um, so in the time it took them to get far enough away from the monster, for Aaron to explode it would have been 10 seconds. So you have 20 more seconds before Roach can move.
I
You
got
do get the
7 on 7. Sorry.
okay. Yeah. You get the feeling the people will reach you within
Mm.
about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
You obviously don't know in character, you have no idea how long Roach is paralyzed for. You just notice that it's
Yeah.
not moving. Uh,
Yeah. I think the slowness of the approach has the opposite effect in that it builds that anticipation of something's approaching me, and it's taking a really long time, and I don't like it's the things that don't move fast are scarier because they know why they don't need to be fast about it. They know why they don't need to be urgent, and that's an unknown that's scary. So at any point when like what am I
Jewel's
trying to
like
say here?
vibrating. Yeah.
Jewel is trying to like rip Roach out of this statuesque, like this frozen position to like, "Girl, let's go." And only gets, I guess that's why she only gets 7 out of 7 on her perception.
Yeah, you're a little
Which is still
distracted.
better
Yep.
than Aaron.
Oh,
9/7.
Okay.
oof.
Um, So then, yeah, Jewel, you are really distracted by Roach. So again, you notice people coming towards you. You notice that some of the people seem to have more noticeable movement underneath their skin. You notice that as they're coming towards you, that like sickly sweet smell is getting a little bit stronger. Like even though there's the bug spray in the air, that other smell is becoming more and more noticeable. Another thing that I will give you is you notice even though you passed your fear check, I'm imagining still like, you're
Yeah.
vibrating, racing heart, all of
Yeah.
this. Um, you notice that your heartbeat is not racing quite as much as you feel like it should be, and you start to catch and clock on that the monster is sort of like pulsating and thrumming a little bit. You realize that it's pulsating and thrumming exactly in time with how your heart is beating.
I don't like that. I don't like that even a little bit. Ugh.
Jewel is straight up having a bad time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Chanel's having a time of her life.
um, yeah, you can
Between the
all.
two of us, can we drag Roach away?
Yeah, you can make a strength check. Both of you could make strength to try
Yeah.
and pull. Just be like, we're going, we're
But
getting out
one
of
on
here.
strength.
It's still D10.
Yeah, because you're rolling against another person with powers, and that is always a D10.
Yeah, I should have checked my character sheet before I suggested that. My strength is 1.
Me too.
Holy crap.
I
I
also did
rolled
all
a
my
1.
stats before I realized what the rolling mechanic was. So I thought that I was just like it was like an additive thing and not like a threshold thing. Which, but I like that because I made it real bad and that's fun.
I think you both dump statted strength, and Roach has a ton of strength,
Ooh,
and
perfect.
Roach is the one who's frozen.
Yeah. I got an 8/1.
Okay,
Somehow that was a 1 on 1.
Yeah.
okay. So Aaron somehow, through the power of fear, is afraid enough that like Roach does start to move, but it's very slow. Like you're dragging. But again, the people approaching you are also moving rather slowly. So you're dragging Roach along. Slowly but surely, you start to move away from this opening and away from this door.
I think Jewel is trying and failing to kind of like assist by pushing Roach's back. It's not doing anything. I think her feet are like when you try to push against something, but you don't have a good like foundation, so you're just moving yourself away from the object. Yeah.
I will say, you are aware that again the door is open, that the people are walking through, but there is a door there, like a door that opens. You'd have to close it and then open it again, Aaron, if you wanted a quick getaway
Yeah.
from this. Uh,
Um yeah, I think Aaron sees a door. He's not thinking ahead.
mhm.
Uh Steve is thinking, yeah, but it stays connected to this door, so we have to come back this way. But in the moment, I don't think Aaron's thinking that logically. So yeah, um,
Hmm. Yeah.
heading into the
You
dark room.
Yeah, you run ahead, grab the door right as people are about to come through it, and reopen it. And when you reopen it, it goes into the dark room. And also, yeah, you can kind of Vin. You're about to be able to move again, but for now, you just get like pushed into this room. And as soon as you get into the room, you like come out of your terror because you're not being watched anymore. There are no more eyes on you other than your companions slash associates. I'm not gonna say friends because you don't really know these people. Um, but you get pushed forward into Aaron's little dark room. And Jewel, I'm assuming you are running in here as well.
Yeah, Jewel runs in. Jewel is terrified by the dark room, genuinely so terrified. Jewel and I share a fear of the dark, and I am actually terrified of like I went to art school and never went into my campuses. I never took an actual camera class because I knew the dark room was there. And I didn't want to go in. It was too scary. Um, so scary. And it had like an airlock door. It was really creepy. I hated it. So she immediately goes in and just like she still doesn't understand that she doesn't have to do this to make her light go, but she just throws her arms out and she like high beams.
Yeah, you all enter the dark room. Jewel starts glowing, and I'm assuming the door is getting closed behind you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that might be the moment where like it dawns on Aaron that you're kind of stuck in here,
Hmm.
for a hot minute, because it only connects as far as you can tell to the door that you entered. So you might have to be here for a little while.
Where are we?
He tries to explain. I'm not entirely sure how much sense it makes because I'm not.
Whatever you think in character,
Yeah.
Aaron understands of it as. I'll let you explain however you want.
Uh,
You know, you know.
somehow, and any door, every door leads here. Sometimes
Uh,
it's just not there. That's all.
is that is that's that weird thing you did in the front of the school, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. It's just
I'm
it's
so
scary.
okay. It's weird. So is the bug spray.
What do you mean?
I didn't have it, and then I did.
You mean before you came here you didn't went and you went to get bug spray from somewhere. Yeah, that's
He
how you
holds
get
out
bug
his hand
spray.
and he concentrates for a moment, and he's got a flashlight.
No, 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 no. She just kind of turns around, puts her back to him, and I think as she does that, she's also just like, I'm glowing. So like she turns around. If you also if you're curious, this is what I've been holding up to my face. But eh, if you yeah, she turns around and she's like trying to like ignore what she's processing what she just saw, but then again realizes she's glowing, so she just kind of like today is a day, tonight is a night.
This might as well just happen.
Yeah, why not?
Teenage life is already so goddamn weird. Uh,
Yeah. So where does it so we can this door, if it'll open to, it's the sorry, the dark room at school, right?
Um, I, I just discovered this today, so I don't know all the rules, but far as I can tell, any door can lead here. I haven't figured out how to get anywhere else from here other than where
oh
we
my god.
came from. I didn't really think that
Okay,
through,
so
I
we're
guess.
just in a strange little dark hole in the ground inside of a dark hole in space and time. I love that. I love
Don't
that.
don't say it like that,
I'm
please.
sorry. I'm sorry.
But we're not
I
where all
wish we
those
get to
people are.
like
We are.
headbang against the wall, and it just sounds like plastic, like Toy Story, because of his powers. It's just tink,
Ee,
tink, tink.
what? Oh. No, she doesn't notice that. She thinks it's the wall because she can't see the. I'm going to assume no amount of light illuminates this room, so it's
Just
just kind of
you.
like
Yeah.
just where she is. Yeah, so she can't see the wall. She's assuming okay, the walls are plastic. She didn't. Chanel is freaked out. Jewel is not. In a
I
rare
mean,
moment
there is
of
some
this
light
happening in this direction.
typically in a dark room.
Mhm.
It's just like a low filtered red light
Yeah.
that
I
doesn't
say
hit
it's
the
the
Yeah.
normal like red light. Yeah.
Oh, so the
And
walls
there's
are
also
visible.
usually, regular like room light
Mhm.
that's just off when you're
yeah, when you're working.
Yeah.
developing stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is the dark room dark right now?
I think it was when we came in, but
Okay.
I've noticed how you're reacting, and I'm
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
nice.
You
flipping a
don't
switch.
have to flip a light switch actually. If Aaron thinks the light should be on, they can come on just by you thinking about it because you have it's your backstage. You have control over it. So I think Aaron like goes to flip. I think it's
Yeah.
funnier if Aaron goes to flip the light, like thinks like Jewel is freaking out. I should turn the lights on, and like turns to go, but the lights just turn on.
Oh, okay. She kind of she how would Jewel turn the light down? I think Jewel actually like says out loud "woosah" to turn her light down. She disco balls. Um, woosah. Lowers the dimmer switch, and she's looking around at this room now, and I think her brain is like quietly trying to make the decision whether or not it is scarier or less scary to know that this is a room with four walls, a floor, and a ceiling that's everywhere versus just a nonsensical void that is like extensive That was like, which is worse, the dark, which is worse, the dark void, or this is a room that exists nowhere and everywhere. Like she doesn't know which one's worse. She's still freaked out, but it's not dark anymore at least.
It's like they say, all roads lead to Rome. You know.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
I don't think that concept works when we're outside of time and space, allegedly.
Yeah. All doors lead to this room. Actually, yeah, it does. doesn't She doesn't want to laugh, but she can't help it. It's a little bit funny. Okay, so how did you get into school? How did you get in through the door in the front that one time when we tried to go in? Because I went through the side door because I didn't. But then when I was inside, y'all came in through the front door. How did you make the door the right door again?
Um, seemed to take 10 seconds or so after we came back out.
Okay, maybe we just we rest a little bit, and then you see if you can maybe maybe after some time you can open the door on purpose to a door we want to open. Maybe that'll work.
I can try. I haven't tried that before. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. And then like we are injured, right? Is there something we can do about that? Well, very barely, but
Mhm.
what even happened? Where did we get that 4 damage from?
Just like falling back, and then also like the feeling of the spores
Oh
on your
yeah.
skin did leave like a little bit. You have like a little bit of a burn. Not bad. I would say that's like half the damage, like 2 damage, and then 2 damage just from like you fell straight back and hit your head.
Yeah.
Uh, on hard ground. So yeah, you can do first aid. There's really nothing in this room that you
Yeah.
could use to help you with that though. The
Yeah.
other
Well, there could
thing,
be.
there could be, there
Mhm.
could be, if
Aaron
you
reaches
feel like
over
you need,
to
yeah,
a
yeah.
completely blank wall and pulls a first aid kit off of it and hands it
Okay,
over.
I don't think Jewel even sees that because I think when Jewel is thinking like we're gonna rest, she's realizing okay, everybody's in their pajamas, no one has a bag or anything. I think she just kind of like sits down. There aren't usually chairs in dark rooms. I think she sits down on the floor and like up against a wall. And does that thing where you got your knees up and you just kind of like hammock your arms a little bit and just she just puts her head down and just takes a little breather. So she's not really looking at anybody. I think she's also trying very hard not to think about the fact that the walls are not plastic.
What is okay? So Jules sitting down. Aaron, you're gonna grab a first aid kit off the
Hmm.
wall that's just there.
Yep.
Any Roach, what are you doing? Let's do that. Are you still banging
Uh,
your head into the wall?
no, he's worried about his sister.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
They have been away for a while, and now he's just trying to figure out how to get back home.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, if anyone wants to make a first aid check, you can do that. First aid check is going to be a different dice depending on you choosing. So first aid is always a streetwise roll. And you can roll whatever dice size you want. A bigger dice size will restore more health, but obviously have a higher chance of failing.
Hmm.
If anyone wants to. You also know that well, you can assume that when you like get some sleep, you'll feel a bit better. Um, because you can restore health when you sleep.
So, Aaron, like, did Aaron like take the first aid kit and kind of like let everyone know that it was there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so, okay, so I'm gonna guess like a D6 for 4 damage makes sense.
Yeah, so a D6 heals 1 health uh
Oh, okay.
a success, and then an additional health for every additional 2 degrees of success. Yeah.
Ooh.
Sleep is the thing that heals the most health in this game. But you can patch. You're basically like you're putting a band-aid on like things that need like more than a band-aid. But you can actually
Okay.
put like a band-aid on each other. And with the first aid kit, you get a +1 to your roll. So a +1 to your stat
Ooh.
when you make that
Okay.
roll.
I have 5 streetwise, so I'm gonna risk a D10.
Okay. Who are you patching up?
Who has? Well, we all took 4, right?
Just you and Roach because Aaron didn't get knocked over.
Can we? Do we? I was assuming that we were all rolling for ourselves. Is it one roll to help everybody, or?
So you pick a person to roll for. It is harder to do first aid on yourself.
Well, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. So she's gonna risk. Yeah, she's gonna do the same thing that I just said, but for Roach.
For Roach. Okay.
But oh
Okay, go ahead
yeah,
and roll.
wait, no, hold on. Sorry, you just answered this question that I just asked you. It was Roach and Jewel
You.
that,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
because
took damage. Yeah.
that was Aaron passed that roll. Okay, sorry. A 3.
Okay. And you have a 5 plus
5,
1 would be a 6.
6.
So that
Yeah.
is 3 degrees of success on a D10. Heals 2 health plus an additional for every degree of success.
Yay.
So that can get Roach back up to full.
Wonderful.
Okay, the other thing that we're gonna do while you're all sitting here in this room is take stress. You already took that one additional extra bonus fun point of stress from
Oof.
air and sphere effect. Um, let's see. You had a first encounter with a monster, which is gonna be +2. Plus technically an additional bonus encounter with a little mini monster, which is gonna be +1. Um, you also realize that I think you're probably starting to put the pieces together that a bunch of people in your town are acting really weird. And had something similar happening to them as what happened to you when you woke up in a strange place. So that whole combination of things um, is going to be +3. So that would get everyone to 6 total stress except for Jewel, who's at 7.
Yeah.
Which should
Wait,
require a
what?
because you
Jewel,
had one already.
you said it's +3?
So +3 from just seeing the monsters and an additional 3 from everything that happened to you. So you're taking 6 stress just from today. This is probably the most stressful
Oh,
day that you'll have. Because
okay.
you just realized a bunch of stuff all at once. And you got
Yeah.
powers. That doesn't even include. You guys went down a weird street this morning. Like, I just don't want to give you more than 6 in one day because that sounds like a lot. Um,
Roach and I also each took one from, sorry, um, from triggering social anxiety and fear of being watched. Yeah.
no, so everyone took an additional 1 from the fear, from the social anxiety fear. So everyone should have
Okay.
already marked 1. Oh yeah, so everyone should be at 7, and then Jewel, you had 1 additionally, so you should be at 8.
But we took 6.
You
We
took,
only,
I know, the numbers are confusing. You took
yeah.
6 right now, but you took an additional 1 earlier from the fear effect. So in just today, everyone has
Oh, just
taken
today,
7
7.
stress.
Okay.
So today, Tuesday, everyone takes 7 stress for Tuesday. Jewel had
Okay.
already taken 1 for Monday.
Yeah.
So Jewel has 8. And then that's
Yeah.
going to require a strain roll from everyone.
What
Uh,
are these? Okay, because we didn't talk about what these dice are on the stress track, and there's so many
yep.
dice now.
Yep. So the dice is the dice that you roll the size dice underneath the number that you have. So
Okay.
7 and 8 both mean you're rolling 1d10.
Okay.
And that is rolled against your strain resistance. Um, yeah, we're getting into mechanics. You
Yeah.
guys are having to roll dice and do things. So you're rolling against your strain resistance. It is a number, the number on the top of your character sheet. And it's the
Mhm.
same as making a regular roll. You're trying to roll under your
I
strain
rolled a
resistance,
3.
which is probably a very low number.
Yep.
If you pass, nothing happens. If you pass, you're fine. If you fail, which it sounds like we already have 1 failure,
Mhm.
maybe 2, um, you reduce your stress by 1, because unhealthy coping mechanisms are still coping mechanisms. And then you
Ooh.
pick, I always run as a GM that you look at your strain effects and you pick one to take on based on what best fits your character in the moment. I can offer suggestions if you're not sure what you feel like your character would take, but I feel like you guys know your characters well enough to choose how your character is reacting. And go ahead and you can share which strain effect you wind up taking.
I had a 9/3, and we are overwhelmed.
Mm.
Fair, yeah.
I got 5/3, and I was thinking overwhelmed as well. Yeah.
I somehow got a 1/3.
There you go.
Wee.
Aaron is holding it together somehow.
Do we just put a
Because
little mark
the
next
dark room
to
is
the?
my happy place.
Yeah, you're in your
Oh
happy place. You're
yeah.
you're nice and calm and happy. Yeah. So you just mark overwhelmed on your sheet.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else anyone wants to do, or are we just gonna say like time passes and you all sit in the corner shaking, and then yeah, how long do we think we're staying in here? Because you can't really totally tell how time is passing in this room. Uh, so what are we thinking? How long do you want to try and stay here for?
Hmm. I think well, Aaron said 10 seconds. So I think maybe we just take the time to use that first aid kit,
Mm,
and then I know that Jewel's pretty impatient. Jewel will be like, "Hey, why don't you try the door now? I want to get out of here." Like she's not claustrophobic, but the idea of like a room that had nothing outside of it is very constricting, and she wants to be out of this crazy space.
Aaron's happy to give that a shot. Above game, I will say that yeah, the only coming out of the room without taking a specific other node only goes back to where you came from. Uh,
yeah.
Okay.
You go over to the door, and as you're going and you like hold the door handle, a sense comes to you, Aaron, that you're like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like you are starting to get more in tune with your own abilities, even though you don't understand them yet. But you're just like, this doesn't work. Like it's gonna go to the door. I'm gonna just open it really quickly and then close it immediately because I'm just gonna see the sewer.
yeah,
Um, but then as you,
if I can suggest,
yeah,
the door in the dark room still looks like the one from the
mm,
sewer.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's still yeah. Everything in the dark room looks like how you want it to look in terms of the dark room, but the door I like it still looks like the same door until you touch it and you're thinking about just like anywhere but here. You're like it's worth a try. Like open anywhere but here. Open just somewhere else. And as you touch the door, it stops. I don't know how to describe this other than it stops feeling like your door. You don't feel like you own or have control of this door anymore, and you push it open, and in front of you is a hallway in a library.
Oh,
But
Hey Quinn.
you know you didn't do that, Aaron.
Hey Quinn. Hey Quinn. My heart just turned to stone.
And now we're gonna take a break. Uh,
No.
so
No.
everybody take 5, and we'll be back.
Take time. I took real life psych damage.
Yeah, we'll be back in about 5 minutes, everyone.
Wait, actually?
Yeah, we're gonna take a
Oh,
break.
I missed that part.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is actually break time. We are at the halfway point. So we're gonna take 5. We'll be back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Emergent. Our players were in a dark room made by Aaron, and then Aaron opened not his door into not his room, and also not the sewers. So maybe good. Yeah, you open the door and you see a library hallway. The shelves are huge. Again, like these are like big towering shelves. The books all look very old, and you get the sense of this being a very big space. And yeah, you know inherently, like inside of yourself, that you didn't do this. Like you're not able to do this, Aaron. You can't make the door open. And you weren't thinking library. Like when
Yeah.
you open your door, you think dark room and it goes to a dark room. You were just thinking, please somewhere else. And it opened to somewhere else, but not because of you.
Yeah. Aaron looks out into the library, um, and he's astonished and curious and um, confused. He looks down at himself. He realizes we are all still wearing whatever we wore to bed. That seems particularly weird. Somehow more weird in a library than in a sewer. Um, so I think we will have a brief moment where the dark room becomes basically like a fitting room, with individual spaces if you want. And he quickly manufactures the most generic clothing stuff you can, probably like sweats and like a gray t-shirt, but it's still not like sleep clothes, and it's not covered in sewer gunk. So
Mm,
Yeah. I like that. I will allow everyone to change out of their sewer gunk clothes if you want to.
that's so yes. Jewel takes that. She's not super jazzed about the genericness of the outfit, but she likes being dry and clean. So she's very grateful.
I just figured out I can do this. I don't.
No, I think okay. So I think it's definitely a face she makes and not something that she says. But she immediately is like, no, 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 it's. Thank you so much. No, it's fine. It's great. It's great. It's perfect. It's great. And she's standing there and just like she she changes out of bright pink pajamas that are like the button up style matching tops. Like she's one of those like people that have something wrong with them where like when they get a box set of pajamas they wear the top instead of switching it out with a t-shirt. I'm also that person. I will wear both pieces together because they imagine it's cute. So she's wearing like a pink flannel with like little like pastel rainbow things all over and like stars and stuff. Maybe there's a unicorn or two. And then now she's just wearing gray sweats and a white t-shirt. She's like, "Thanks, Aaron." This is great. It's dry and it's clean and it doesn't smell nasty. I really appreciate it.
I will. I promise I will see what I can do about learning how to
No,
be
no,
more
no.
detailed. But I mean,
It's fine. It's fine. You wait. Like, where did this even come from? You know, like, what more can I ask for? This is
try not
great.
to think
It's
about that.
wonderful. Yeah, yeah. Doesn't mass have to be conserved?
Where does your light come from?
What?
I don't think pro- light is light doesn't have mass. Light's just light. Wait, how am I make? No, that's fine. Where are we? Where did you take
Turn it
us?
off. We are done with the science conversation. I'm
Yeah, let's
going to.
not do more of that.
Yeah, no, no, yeah,
No,
no.
mm-mm. Not tonight. So, Aaron, where are we? Where have you taken us? It's better than the sewer, at least. Pretty cool. It's got books. I like books.
I don't think I brought us here, but we library apparently.
You know what?
I,
Yeah, what
I
do you
was
mean
not
by that,
thinking
bud?
library, so
What were you thinking?
I was thinking home.
You have a library at your house?
Not this big.
Maybe you just got a little, yeah, no, you just got a little turned around. Remember that one time you came out of a car? You didn't do that on purpose. Maybe that just happens. That's fine. It's fine.
Help!
It's that
Help!
we're in a
Um,
library.
yeah, it's shouting in
Shh.
I hope someone hears like them as a group.
Yeah. Is anyone else doing anything, or just Roach starts shouting? Anyone looking around? Want to make any perception checks, or just are you just like walking in a straight line? Are you going somewhere else? Like you kind of like exit the door into like the middle of a row of books, and then once you're all out, the door closes behind you, and you realize you're in the middle of a row. There's no door there.
Huh, okay,
Hmm.
weird. Yeah, Aaron's going to take a quick look. Trying to figure out two things, either of which will be nice. One of which is, is this an occult library? Is this a science library? Can you tell anything from the books that were around? And second, more basically, if you go to a public library or a university library, everything has a tag,
Yeah.
for like
Hmm.
Dewey
Yeah.
Decimal
Hmm.
or Library of Congress. Is it that kind of library, or is it, big, huge, private, Beauty and the Beast kind of thing?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else looking around?
Jewel is shushing Roach.
Okay. Jules trying to shush Roach. Roach is screaming. Aaron, make a perception check for me.
What die?
D8. This is pretty easy. You're just like looking to the side of the books.
Okay, that is a 3 under 7.
Okay, so 4 degrees, not quite a crit yet. Uh, but yeah, looking around. First of all, you wouldn't even need to roll for just like seeing if there's any like Dewey Decimal System tags on it, because that's kind of just like turning your head and looking at the books, and you notice very quickly no. Although it's set up more like a public library in that again there's like rows and shelves. It's not like in a private library I would think more like walls lined with books. This is
Yeah.
like you're in a row definitely with shelves. The books themselves, most of the book titles appear to be people's names. And again, they're very kind of like old, big, thick looking books. You don't recognize any of the names on them. And as if you're walking, are you just kind of standing in place and screaming and looking around, or are you like walking around trying to see if there's anyone else here?
Just walking and calling the entire
Okay.
time.
Okay. I like Roach walking and calling, and Jewel like walking after them, trying to be like shh, shh, shh.
Stop it.
um,
These
and
people have never
so
been in a library.
yeah.
I think there's a moment where I don't know. Tell me if this is correct or incorrect. That Jewel kind of like goes for a shoulder tap and just gets like a ding, like plastic sensation, and then recoils, and now she screams. Ew!
Yeah, it's a bad touch.
Uh,
What?
what? Huh? Why? Why?
Why?
Why are
What?
you? Why are you? Why? She does it again. Why? She like, oh, finger on camera. Here we go. She does like this on your skin. It's like, why are you this texture?
I don't know. Why are you? And he like goes to like tap and then instead like claps
What?
at Jewel. Oh, you just don't start glowing when like a light.
I don't actually know.
Okay.
Well, it didn't work
Oh
when
my
you
god,
did
we have
it.
so much in common. I don't know what's going on
True.
either.
Okay, that's fair. So you didn't do that on purpose?
Ask me that again.
Well, I can go like this, and she like does the starfish pose, and wing, starts glowing.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I can do this now. And I think he spins his head complete like 360.
She, Jewel hits the floor, passes out. I don't think she immediately
It's an
loses. Like, I
introduction
don't think she
place.
loses complete consciousness, but I think she gets dizzy enough that she just kind of ragdolls down and just sits on the floor for a little bit, and she's
Floor time.
sick
Wow,
and
not
mad.
ragdoll. I
Yeah,
see.
her knees just duh. Her knees are gone.
Floor time for Jewel.
Floor time virtual. Mm.
Kind of glad Aaron's looking at the books and not
Yeah.
at
Yeah, Aaron doesn't
his
see any
friend
of
the
this.
owl.
You're fine. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, Aaron's still looking at the book titles. You notice as you get a feeling, it's hard to tell exactly like where this feeling comes from because again, you're in like what feels like a very big space, but you get a feeling you're moving more toward the center of it. And in fact, like as you do so, like you come to the end of the row, you see an area where it seems to be like a box of shelves that there is an opening through. And in response, you hear a very soft, gentle kind of voice going, "Who's screaming?" And it seems to be coming from within the box of shelves. And Aaron, you see the books on these shelves are not people's names. They do appear to be more like actual book names. Um, some examples, one of them is titled The Light Dark Effect, one of them is entitled No Quiet Nights, one of them is entitled Dawn of a New Generation, uh, one of them is a book like very out of place, Gay Pirates seeming to be the name of this one. But yeah, you do like the books on these shelves are distinguishably different than the books on any other shelves. Um, and I'm going to say, like, in the midst of all this chaos again, like, you hear this voice just asking who's screaming. Does anyone respond to the mystery voice coming from behind the shelves?
Jewel gets real quiet.
No, actually.
Mm-mm. Oh, sorry. Can I just have a? Because I forgot to mention in the break. Vin, would you mind refreshing your caption ninja, please? I don't think it's been working. Thank you.
Um, so yeah, if no, Aaron, are you doing anything?
I think Aaron is still focused on the books. He takes one of these and flips through it to get an idea of um yeah, let's go with gay pirates. Is this like a history book? Is it um,
Hmm. It so you open it up and it does seem like it's a story. It seems like you can't tell if it is, fact or fiction, if it's a nonfiction or a fiction book, but it is depicting three people, and as you kind of skim through it, you start to realize that the people who are being talked about in this book can do really weird, strange things. One of them can just like disappear from existence at will. Um, one of them can seems to have like some magic abilities and like be very smart and extra able to like understand things, and also actually that person also had access to a door that they can open. Like I think Aaron, you specifically know and catch like that person could open a door to a place just like you can. And the other person who's, you're kind of like skimming through and catching references, the other person could summon a weapon out of just thin air and had control over the weather. You notice these people have what seem to be described as like pretty strong abilities, and you're catching that this appears to be a chronicle of them fighting different monsters. However, this is set like historical. Like these people that you're reading about were pirates. Like they sailed on a pirate ship, and we're also coincidentally all gay. That's maybe the title of the title of the story. A little bit of like our flag means death vibes going on, except powers and fighting monsters. And yeah, as you're kind of flipping through, so you pull this book off the shelf and you're kind of flipping through. Everyone else has gone quiet in response to hearing this voice. Um, but there is again like a box constructed out of shelves. The shelves sort of just like part a little bit, like roll apart, and someone walks out from behind the shelf. And when you first look at them, it's very disorienting. For a
Ooh.
second, it is like you're seeing every person you've ever seen in your life condensed into one person. But that's just a flash. It's very quick how fast and disorienting this is before this appears to be just a person. A very tall, very skinny, very pale skinned person. Does not look like they have seen the sunlight in many, many, many years. They have fairly androgynous facial features, slightly more feminining, which is accentuated by the fact they also have very long hair, like long, pale white hair that is almost down to the floor. It's hard to place their age. They have very smooth skin, but their eyes are set far back in their skull. They're also wearing a very like light, um, sort of like a light palish yellow ish colored, very flowing dress that is so full of folds and fabric that it's hard to actually see the movement of the person underneath. That's why you're like not quite sure she is walking or like floating across the floor because you can't really see any movement coming from underneath all of this fabric. It is in fact covering most of their skin other than just like their face is pretty much the only part of their skin you can actually see. And the other than that weird disorienting effect when you looked at her for the first time, the other oddest thing is their eyes. The white part of their eyes is black, and the part of their eyes that would normally be colored is a very like deep, you know, dark blue, not the, typical color you would see of someone who has blue eyes. Um and again, they sort of they move out of this opening and look at you all. One of you who's sitting on the floor, one of you standing over them, and one of you flipping through one of their books. They don't seem super surprised to see you here. In fact, they just sort of nod and go, "Ah, new emergence. Please come in." And they gesture for you to like go through the opening in the shelf.
I'm sorry, what?
You are confused, of course. Uh,
Yeah.
I remember I was confused too when I started to be able to do unusual and uncharacteristic things. Um, I can I can explain some of what is happening to you if you'd like, and you can kind of see the it parts a little bit more, and you see there were just like two like old, like the old chairs with like the really big tall backs and the kind of fluffy looking chairs in like a grandma type pattern. There were two of them. However, looking around and like counting you, you see two more chairs appear and a table, little mini short wooden coffee table with a tea set appears like in the middle of them, and this person there still like gesturing to you all to come in.
I think Jewel gets up off the floor. If it honestly, it's kind of a blessing in disguise that um Roach just spun his head in a circle like that, because I feel like without that little reminder of just like we are mutating or something strange is happening, it would have been a little bit more jarring to see someone who looks like this just come out of a box of bookshelves like this. But the shock and the recovery, like the fact that Jewel is already on the ground recovering from something, seeing something real nasty, and having had a real nasty experience like 15 minutes before, um I think she's now open to this warmth, sense of welcoming and hospitality. And she she kind of gets up off the ground almost a little bit embarrassed, and then she kind of um I think absent-mindedly, not even thinking that it's a thing that makes sense to do, but she just kind of like smooths her clothing, and like in doing that, that turns down the glow, because she was like, she did the starfish thing before Roach spun its head around. So um she was just sitting on the ground like a light bright. uh, So she kind of like straightens her clothes, as in like she almost assumes it's impolite to be so illuminous. That's not a word, but to be so shiny right now. And then she just kind of turns to this person and she goes, "Hi, uh, yeah, thanks," and just hands folded, just kind of curling into herself, making herself kind of look a little small. She just kind of politely walks into the this room.
Yeah. The person looks to you. Of course. Uh, you, I can see what you can do. Which one of you opens the door to your backstage?
Well, my dark room, but yeah.
Ah, yes. It is an interesting thing for you to get here. It can only be accessed as this is my, well, not entirely mine, but essentially now my backstage.
Whoa.
Uh,
I resisted so hard saying it's bigger on the inside, but I failed. Sorry.
You won't ever be able to get yours quite this expansive, I'm afraid. I have a little bit of help with that.
Hmm,
sizes and everything.
She's
fine.
sort of like, I'm laughing out of character. In character, this NPC doesn't laugh, like, she just gives you, like, a little nod. Um,
Jewel doesn't get it.
um, are you going into this space? And I'm assuming Jewel is, like, going in and sitting down.
Yeah, Jewel has sat down and she's doing that little like polite girl thing of like well taught child thing of like
Mhm,
hands folded between her knees, making
mhm.
herself look small and silent and not in the way.
Yeah, Aaron is very curious. He's going to go in, have a seat, and while waiting on the others, take a taste of the tea.
Yeah, it does taste like normal tea.
Mm.
It doesn't
He kind
taste
of
weird. Yeah.
he stares at the cup. He manifests a mug of coffee and tastes that, which has absolutely no taste whatsoever. It is about as generic as something can be. How, how did you do that?
Years of practice. Yeah, it tastes like chamomile tea. And then what is Roach doing?
Roach is in the room standing but not sitting, arms
Okay,
folded. Um,
okay.
Getting a little tired of this magical adventure.
um, yeah, this person again, you can't really see any like movement of their legs. You assume that they're walking. They make their way back into the space. They do leave the opening, so you're not like boxed back in. And they also go and kind of like stand behind the chair. They are taller than the back of the chair. Again, they're just like their proportions are a little bit interesting for a person. Not in the way that Roach's proportions were interesting, just in kind of a like little head tilty kind of way as you look at them. And they sort of look at you all and have their arms held out as they address you. I assume you have many questions, and hopefully, I have many answers. Please, what would you like to know?
Uh, well, my name's Jewel. What may we call you?
You can call me just the librarian, will do. And you notice as you're in this space now that the bookshelf specifically behind her is different than all of the other bookshelves in that it contains these like composition looking notebooks, not the old books that you see everywhere else. Kind of look like this.
I love it. The librarian.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. And then she kind of bites her lip, and she's got caught in this like conundrum of she's been asked to ask a question, but her mind has gone blank. So she feels like socially impelled to ask, but she can't think of anything to ask. So she just kind of like racking her brain.
Well, Mr. Mix, the librarian, how do we get? out of here.
Oh, where would you like to go?
You know, this is a crazy answer. Home.
Whenever you are ready to leave, you're not held prisoner here. You came here because something, in at least one of you, wanted to. If you don't want to be here anymore, you can leave. And she gestures, and there's just like a door, just kind of there, like not up against anything, just sort of floating in the room. It is like
Oh,
touching the ground, but it's not connected to anything. It's just a door with a door frame around it. It's just not touching any walls or the ceiling.
Jewel looks at Aaron.
I don't know how to do that, so I don't know.
I have a
Where
lot
are
more control here than you ever will.
that's not in character. Where are we?
As I said, you're in my backstage, my library, mine and a friend's.
Oh, I, and that's the same as the room we were in before, Aaron?
The same ability,
Okay.
in a sense.
Bigger, fancier. If you've had any of the tea, mine has no taste to it whatsoever. So
Jewel hadn't because she hadn't been invited to, but at the mention of it, now feels socially impelled to do so. So she picks up a cup and takes a sip, and it's nice and it's relaxing.
It is, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. If you would like to leave, you are all welcome to do so. I am here to help in whatever way you all need.
What kind? Hmm. And then I think like when in asking the question, Jewel kind of realizes she can answer it a little bit on her own. Realizes she hasn't taken a moment to look around at her surroundings because she was arguing with Roach, and she looks at the different books. I think she sees the composition books first because she's talking to the
Mm,
librarian,
mm,
but like composition books don't really have a spine
no,
that's discernible.
mm,
So she starts looking around at the other shelves and starts to take stock of like what, okay, this is the library, this is the librarian,
mm,
so what kind of information is
mm,
this librarian like the custodian of?
mm,
So I guess she's also doing like a spine
mm.
scan. Yeah.
Yeah. All the books in this particular like section do seem to have like titles, not just like people's names on them. So you see some of the same titles that Aaron saw earlier. You're just like taking stock of them for the first time.
Okay. And then I guess she asks, so are you like a kind of like a school librarian?
I am a collector of knowledge and of stories. Stories about people like you.
What kind of people are we?
Emergence.
Emergence. Did
Ah, yes, that's a
mm,
new word for you, isn't it? That's the official technical term. Uh,
well, I get what the word means, but I don't really get it as like a like um where did we emerge out of something? I don't really get what it means in this context.
it's referencing, I believe, the emergence of your powers,
Okay.
which I am assuming you all have. And they kind of look at you, Roach, because you're the only one who hasn't like expressed an ability, or they haven't seen you do anything yet.
Yeah, and then like he waves and the hand just spins.
Yeah.
Little plasticky hand.
Hmm. Again, they don't seem super surprised by that. They just sort of like and they kind of like nod.
Mm. Jewel does not like it. She just kind of politely looks away.
I see books about about stories. I see books about people. You wouldn't happen to have a how-to section?
Ha. The There's no one how if you're looking for a how to use your powers, you'll figure that out on your own eventually. The basic how to would be in the guides behind me, and she gestures to the row of composition notebooks. I can tell you it's pretty simple, really. You get powers, see a monster, learn about it, and kill it. I've done it dozens of times now. Well, I used to. Haven't recently.
And you stopped. Why?
Well, someone needed to tend to and take care of this place. If you live long enough, there often comes a point where you realize you're called to a higher calling beyond that of just the everyday work of fighting whatever monster pops up here or there in whatever town.
That's every day?
Well, not every day, but
Well, not every day like 2 words, like every day like normal. That's just a normal day for you?
unfortunately, it's a normal day for you from this point on. These things follow you around like oh, I don't even have a good analogy for it. Once you have powers, they're just drawn to you like a moth to a light. In your case, I suppose would be almost oddly apt. Where
Mm.
there are emergents, there are monsters. It has always been like this. Though obviously it's worse now.
Jewel just kinda, like, sinks like, her eyes go a little bit, like, blank. She just kinda, like, sinks into herself a little bit for a couple of seconds. You said you help? Like, is there a library card we can sign up for or something?
Unfortunately, coming here is not so much of a choice as it is interesting happenstance whether you arrive here or not.
Jewel looks at Aaron again,
Mhm,
just, like, remembering the "I didn't
mhm.
mean to bring us here" thing that he said earlier.
So just let me get this straight. You hide in this library and not fight monsters.
Uh, yes, my circumstances changed when I came into possession of this place. I don't so much as hide as I can't leave. But I don't really need to. I have everything I need here.
Doesn't it get lonely?
Well, it would if I was alone. And as they say that, you get that kind of disorienting feeling again looking at them.
Okay, so the thing that I just did is Chanelise, Jewel does is Jewel.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. You get the sense of like, yeah, this person is not being threatening and they do seem to be very forthcoming and you think they're telling the truth, but you're also not sure if this is a person.
Ooh. She just gets really curious about the design on the edge of the cup. She's sipping and not looking at the librarian at all for a little bit. Whew.
Aaron's kind of has been kind of looking over at the guidebooks that the librarian mentioned. Can I take a look?
I'll tell you what. You can take one of these. I have plenty. You can take one of these with you, and In return, I I will start to collect your story to add to the library here so that others who come here can learn about your exploits and your fights against whatever monsters you encounter.
But
You don't have to do anything. Just, I mean, whether you want to or not, you kind of have to kill the thing in your town before it kills all of you. I can see that you've already been infected by it.
sorry, what?
You only have a couple more days before you will all be dead, and the only way to cure the infection, you can slow it. There are ways to slow it, though you'll have to figure that out for yourself. But the only way to free yourself fully is to kill it. I'll give you that bit of information as a gift because I don't want to see any of you dead.
So
Dead people don't tell any stories.
you collect information, but you don't know. You know that we're gonna die, but you don't know how not to make us die.
The only way to not die is to kill the monster to end the source of the infection.
How do we do that?
That you'll have to discover on your own, the same as you kill any monster. You discover its weaknesses. I think you might be on your way with a couple, and you kill it, you fight it. Every monster's weak to something, so you don't have to face it as it is, you weaken it. Many have done what you are going to attempt and do, many across dozens upon dozens of stories.
So Jewel, the librarian's voice starts to sound a little bit fuzzy to Jewel. She starts to dissociate a little bit.
Mhm.
She's shaking. She's not sure if she's shaking from fear because she's just been told she has days to live, or from rage because of the glibness. That is glib the right word? I don't know, of the librarian, but also just like there's something about the fact that this is something that other people have had to go through before. Many people have had to go through before. Like the glibness is not just infuriating, it's also like going back to that, this is the everyday, this is just, she's starting to get that sense of like overhearing adults talk about adult life, and it sounds terrifying and awful but inevitable.
Mhm.
And that kind of like pit of your stomach, edge of a precipice fear is really the root of what she's feeling, and all the rest of it is just the meta emotions of not really knowing how to process any of it. So she just kind of like externally, she's just there, and she's starting to, her hands are quivering, like the cup and saucer is starting to do that as she's sitting in the chair.
Well, this has been very nice, very helpful, very useful, dripping with sarcasm as it shuffled towards the door.
Yeah, thank you so much for the tea. That snaps. Jewel does not hear the sarcasm, but the thank you and we're leaving and it's time to go snaps her back into like, and there's a formula to all the social interactions that you've learned over the years. Snaps back to reality. Thank you so much for having us. Puts the tea down, stands up, and it's just like slightly too close to Roach, just out of nervousness of just like needing to be near someone and needing to be out of this space.
Mhm. Yeah. The librarian, they just kind of nod at you all and gesture toward the door. Roach, you just opening the door and going through.
Yep.
Yeah. You step through the door, and for a second, it is just dark. And you hear the distant sound of waves on hitting the sand as if on a beach. And then you step forward and you kind of hit another door, you think, and you like push that one open, and you step out of your closet into your bedroom. And then Jewel, if you're following behind, you do the same. Like you step into darkness and you realize like you were right almost next to Roach, like not quite touching, but where you could kind of sense their presence. And you walk through and you realize she's not there anymore. There's no one in front of you. You're just alone in the darkness. You hear kind of that same sound, realize there's another door in front of you. Again, like it's like pushing through like doors that open like saloon type doors,
Mm.
except you push them open out of your closet, which is weird because your closet doesn't open like that. And then is Aaron doing the same thing? Are you leaving?
Um, I think he lingers just for a moment. Can, all this knowledge, can you at least give us a hint, point
Yeah.
us in the right direction?
And yeah, as you do so, like she just holds out one of the composition notebooks to you, and says, "How do you know I haven't already?" And then, as you take the book, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
you find yourself just in that dark space, uh, where you realize there's a door in front of you, and you push through, and you walk out of your closet. It is now morning on Wednesday. You all realize that you did not get a full night's sleep, and you either have to skip school to try and do so, or you will be operating on a partial night's sleep, which has mechanical penalties.
Ooh.
Uh, so basically, every night you are able to sleep, you're able to recover. If you don't get enough sleep, just like in the real world, that has consequences. Um, I think actually the like line in the book is like sleep is important. Yes, really. Um yeah. You need to sleep, really, I mean it. So because you only got a nap, um you only get one of the following benefits where usually you would get multiple. Um you can restore health equal to your tenacity, restore one power specific resource, or clear a level of drained days, weaken, or a power specific condition. I don't think anyone has any power specific conditions or a level of any of the other conditions. So you'd either be restoring health or restoring a power specific resource. Uh, I know that Aaron has definitely been using one of his resources. Um, Technically, I don't know that we were perfectly tracking, like in terms like making clothes. I think would probably cost a little bit more than what you have access to. But I like the idea of all of you not wearing your gross clothes, so I allowed that to count for like one use. And you didn't take health damage, so restoring your bends is probably a good idea. Um,
Yeah, just to clarify on that,
mhm,
one of the parts of Deus Ex Machina, is that the MacGuffin, the one that creates little things,
mhm.
um, no longer has a cost to use.
Oh, perfect. Then
So
yeah, then you've been
he can
using
make
that. Then you do get that for free. Then
plenty of
yeah, you
little
can
things, but he used
restore.
up his one a day
Yeah,
to make
one
the
a day.
bomb, so he's
Yeah,
gonna
restore
regain that.
that. Yeah. So you have your one a day back. The other fun thing about taking only a nap is that you, if you go 3 days on only naps, you start taking fatigue.
Mm.
And something you realize is that you you were really tired this morning. Monday night, mechanically, I didn't explain the mechanics of this because you wouldn't have known what it meant yet. But Monday night, mechanically, you only got a nap because you can now intuit that you were up walking around the sewers against your will on Monday night. While you are infected by this monster, which you now all know that you are, you can only take a nap. You can never get a full night's rest unless you find a way around that. So you've got one more night tonight,
We know that?
after which you don't know obviously like
Okay.
mechanically what fatigue is, but you
But we
can
know that we
sense.
won't we'll get up if something doesn't stop
Yeah.
us. Okay.
You can figure out now like there's a pattern. Every night you will probably keep getting up against your will. Again, you saw a bunch of other people down in the sewers, and in fact, as you if anyone gets up and starts going about their day, you can catch either your parents have the TV on, or you see it on. You don't really have like news on your phone anymore. Um,
Or yet,
but you
rather.
hear, yeah, yet because you don't have smartphones. Maybe you hear on the radio somewhere that there's starting to be like news reports of people walking around in a trance like state at night. So you're starting to pick up, oh, this is happening every night. It's probably going to keep happening to us. And also, you're starting to feel tired. It's that like that creeping feeling where you're like not so tired that you're about to collapse, but you're getting closer and closer to the like, oh, if I don't sleep soon, like I can't sustain this for very long. As again, you're in high school, so that ability, you have more ability to go without sleep than like an adult. You pull all-nighters, you've done that before, you stay up late, but you do have a limited capacity before you're gonna hit the like, I need to sleep. And you realize that, yeah, you got a couple hours of sleep, but not many. Like you should be aiming for 8 and you got like 3.
Hmm.
And you can just only run so many days on that. And again, none of this, you don't know for sure that this will keep happening, but there's a pattern going on here. You can take a good guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, how does everyone feel like spending their Wednesday? You also realize you're all back in your own houses, like you don't see each other anymore.
Yeah. I know the first thing Jewel does is wash her braids. Because she fell in that water so many times. She's wearing a bonnet, but the bonnet is lost. The bonnet is gone. It's nasty, and her hair didn't get gooped, but it got damp. So like it's a little bit stinky. So she like does like maybe a vinegar rinse or something in the shower as she's like getting ready for her day. She does not skip school. She doesn't even really know how to broach the topic to her parents because she's not sure how to explain how she got home, and she's not sure how her parents didn't see her leave.
Mhm,
Because her parents tend to like
mhm.
she's an only child, so she gets supervised, so she's not sure how she got out of the house without her parents being like, why is our child sleepwalking and going down the street?
Yeah. Yeah, your parents don't seem to think anything is odd. Again, they're like ready to take you to school. Your mom does ask how you're doing and how you're feeling because you did come home sick from school. So your mom does check in on how you're feeling and if you want to go to school because you were sick. Uh,
Okay. I think Jewel pauses for a moment. She almost pauses for too long. She almost gives her mom the opportunity to make the decision on her behalf, but then she feels that coming, and she kind of perks up and go realizes she doesn't really feel like she doesn't want to be home alone for one. Um, and as tired as she is, she can't let go of the idea that that some lady, some I don't know, some person with books and wild eyes said that she has days to live. Um, she wants to go to school, so she kind of feigns. She does feel very tired, more so like emotionally drained because she's still very overwhelmed. But she like feigns like, no, I'm feel a little like maybe it's more like a cold, but I don't want to miss school. Just I can muscle through, and if I start to like go downhill, I'll call you and let you know. And I think her mom is just like, yeah, you get him, tiger,
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so your mom will drive you to school. What's everyone else thinking and feeling on this lovely and normal Wednesday morning?
Between what we've seen and the news reports, um, do we know if this is just affecting people our age, or if it's affecting everybody in town?
Yeah. No, when you were down in the sewers, you would have noticed that it does appear to be uh mainly people like from like high school. Like you didn't see a ton of, very elderly people. But you did see a wide range of teens and young adults and adults. don't know why I classified young adults as different than adults. I guess yeah, I
Oh no, it's
there
different.
that is different. You're not a real
Yeah,
again, not a real
I'm
adult yet. It's
32.
a
It's
real stage.
different.
Yeah.
I was not the same at 25 as I am now.
Roach is in a shower for God knows how long until like the skin is pink or whatever their flesh is now, um, like slightly tipping into burn territory with how hard it's scrubbing and trying to make sure like under nails, cuticles, hair, everything, and there's still like a haunting stench is like in his head.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. I don't know if the water quite burns though. I don't know if it can really burn you. I don't know how if you would notice that or clock that or yeah, what is Roach like noticing and clocking about their skin and the associated feeling? I know it's very much a like you said, like you don't have control over it, it's just happening. But what is Roach noticing as you are showering off?
They're noticing the texture, the joints having that kind of ball jointed quality, and like seeing every individual like um a joint like roll or turn. He's gotten to a point like when he comes to his back, he just turns his head around and keeps it that way, and like turns his arms to the back. So it's a sight, but he's learning to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those kind of like weird, but again, I feel like you're all in a little bit of the like, this might as well happen. Like, sure. Again, you kind of are realizing you can't stop it. You don't really have control over it. It's just occurring to you. And yeah, I don't know that the water quite has I don't I think it maybe it like takes a little while for it to set in for Roach that you're like this feels not as hot as it should. It feels like maybe it should be burning, but it isn't. Um so yeah, there's that. What is Aaron doing with your morning?
Um, well, I think he's flipping through the guidebook. Um, kind of like reading ahead in a mystery novel where okay, so this is going to happen, but we still have to get there. At some point, I'll be able to dot dot dot. Um, for the moment, I think he's particularly fascinated by the crafting section. Is
Yeah.
giving him all kinds of ideas. Um, and as he is pondering about that, he's idly like creating inconsequential
Yeah.
little things.
Little things.
Yeah. Um, he does find that once he's created enough of something that he loses track, the ones he made first start going away. Um, um, for our reference above game, the things that he creates with this ability, including the clothes that he handed out last night, cease to exist when they're forgotten about.
Okay, that would just be immediate for me. I don't
Yeah.
have object permanence.
I think technically, I think it's funnier. I don't think the power necessarily reads like that. I think it's funnier if it's like when Aaron forgets specifically because you're the one maintaining it. Um. So yeah, we don't need to go into detail about what happens there, but I think it's
Yeah,
funny if to some point the clothes are just gone, whether you'd already taken them off or whether they were on your body at the time at which they vanished. I think it's funny if like Roach gets out of the shower and like you'd left the clothes on the ground and they're just not there. Uh.
She'll put them in the hamper, so
Yeah.
I think she'll forget also even that she even had them. She'll just like weeks later will be like, "Hold on, they never made it out of the washing machine."
But so Jewel is on your way to school.
Mhm.
Are the other two of you? How are you feeling about school today versus lie to your parents about being sick and stay home? You also, I believe, none of you have any way of contacting each other. So
Mhm.
you don't know what each other is doing at this point. Because you had not met each other until weird, random street that you walked your way down.
Did we even exchange names? I don't think we did. Yeah.
I think you kind of just like semi knew each other. Like some of you, everyone kind of knew who Jewel was because you're like track star, so everyone kind of heard your name. But yeah, I don't think you exchanged any information when you met.
Yeah. I think Jewel thinks Roach's name is like Bug or something.
No. Close with no cigar.
No cigar.
Uh,
I think Aaron's kind of running on autopilot, which says that even if you're not entirely awake, you still go, you still show up. May not be all there, but I think everybody in class is kind of dozing off at this point.
Yeah.
Roach goes only because he just skipped yesterday.
No, Roach went to class yesterday, didn't they?
There was one day where it was like, oh, I'm not gonna go, and like just turned up late, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Either
yeah,
way,
you
we're
were
making up for
late.
that day.
Yeah. Okay, okay. So you're there and you're there on time. Um okay, so everyone is at school. Anything in particular anyone wants to do during this? It's going to be a normal average school day unless there's something anyone wants to do, which can include looking for each other.
Yeah, Jules is scanning constantly for both Aaron and Roach. She doesn't even know who to ask, like, if anybody knows them.
Anyone know a bug? Where can I find a bug?
Bug and camera guy. Oh, I think she goes to the dark room. She can figure out where that is, and I think she starts like asking photography class students who are taking photography or people that are on like the yearbook or something if like tries her best to describe Aaron and like where is he?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I will say that someone there, you're able to give enough of a description that they like give you a name. Like, oh, you talking about Aaron? Yeah. I don't know where he is right now, but he has photography club after school today, so he'll be here with me, and a couple of us will be here after school, if
And
that helps.
that's the same time as track practice, right?
I don't know when track practice is. Probably, just like right after school.
Oh no, sorry, I'm talking above table, not
Oh,
in character.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Above
Okay.
table, yes, it's after school at the same time as track practice. Yeah.
Okay, I think then oh, okay. This is what I wanted. I think Jewel is going to try to lie and cut um track practice, say she's gonna call her mom, and then head to the to find Aaron.
Okay. Well, let's see first if anyone else does anything during the school day, and then we can
Yeah.
get to ask. So yeah, Aaron and it sounds like Jewel like gets that information and is like, "Cool, I know where
Yeah.
to find one of them. I'll be back later."
Hmm.
Anyone else doing anything during school?
I think if Aaron has like a study hall or even lunch,
Yeah.
gonna head to the school library and he's aware that there are products that are supposed to kill weeds. Are there more? Can you find out about more broadly effective you know
Mhm.
anti botanicals?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Plant killer
yeah.
types of things. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and science probably. I'll say check for that. Yeah, biology is under. Biology is not plants. I don't know why my brain
Yeah,
thought
it is.
biology. Yeah, yeah, it is. Oh yeah,
Botany.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
botany
yeah,
is more
yeah, yeah,
specific.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, my first instinct was correct. I feel like I saw biology, thought plants, and I went, no, biology's people. But that's
Oh,
incorrect.
biology is life
Uh,
in general.
bio is life, and
Yeah.
plants are alive. So yeah, go ahead and make me just a D8 science.
Ooh.
The 5 under 6.
Okay. Yeah, I personally am not going to research different kinds of plant killers.
Yeah.
You get a list. Like you go online and you research and you get a list of different things that might be effective.
Okay. Um, I think he's looking in particular about, how do I get rid of this how do we get rid of moss? How do we get rid of, and
Yeah.
and basically trying to find something that he might be able to get the components for.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, like if you were going to try and like make your homemade plant killer, yeah, you can. That takes like a little bit more time. I'm gonna say the cost for that is gonna be like you spend your whole lunch in the library researching, but you're able to get together. You have a basic kind of chemistry knowledge. It's a little bit different because your chemistry knowledge relates to, photography and the way to, like use the dark room and the chemicals involved in that process.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
He
it,
he knows all about
yeah.
how to make sure that the chemicals he uses in photography don't burst into flame because they're very flammable, and he's thinking about it from the other way around. Uh,
Yeah. So yeah, it transfers enough that you're like, okay, you could probably if you, did a little bit of shopping, got the ingredients for this and sat down and mixed some stuff, you could probably make something if you had the time.
okay.
And it sounds like Roach is just trying to survive the school day pretty much.
Yep.
Roach is just there. I mean, I was gonna say trying to stay awake, but maybe not even that. Roach probably get some naps in, trying to avoid being detected as you get some naps in. So then yeah, Jewel, we get to the end of the day. Go ahead and you said lie, so deception.
Yeah, she's trying to lie.
Um,
Yeah,
make me that deception check to try and get out of track practice.
that's a
That'd
D8.
be D8. Yeah.
Okay, I'm remembering. So that. Ooh, no, I'm not even gonna look at my. I just rolled an 8. What even is my deception? A 2.
Okay. Here's the way that works when you fail on that. You're allowed to leave. The track teacher's not going to stop you. They kind of can't. They can't force you to do track. But for one, they don't believe that you're really sick. So your track
Yeah.
teacher, you're going to get a disappointed look. And you're also going to take a suspicion because you're a relatively, quote unquote good student, right? You're like the standard average good student
Mhm.
in the eyes of what a good student looks like from the eyes of teachers.
Mhm.
So you don't normally lie, and the teacher, like the track coach, has a sense that you just lied about being sick and you just want to dip basically. So again, they're not going to
Mhm.
be like, no, you're forced to stay, but they're going
I
to give you a little look.
and I want to add, just because it's an 8 on an 8, it's like the worst it could have been. That was the one day that Tevin didn't show up.
Mhm,
So Tevin is not where he's expected to be, and so the coach assumes
mhm,
that he's waiting
mhm,
somewhere else, and he's
mhm.
gonna like drive her off somewhere. So
Yeah,
she may, I don't know how bad does this get.
yeah.
Like you
Well, how
said,
much
she
is your
can leave.
suspicion?
Now it's at 1. She started at 2 out of 3 because of the upper class
Mhm,
socioeconomic thing made her like her parents
mhm,
have more resources to keep tabs
mhm.
on her. So she was already, yeah, missing 1.
Yeah.
Um
I can already see where if you basically right now, since you haven't reached that suspicion max,
yeah.
everything's fine. There's no real consequences. But if you take on one more suspicion, I already know in my head what the consequences of
Okay,
that are going to be.
good. Good.
Uh,
Cuz I was just thinking, okay, first of all, is it like a cuz am I supposed to be losing the top number or gaining the top number?
so your suspicions start like you're building up to a max. Like you can take on
Okay.
three
3.
suspicions. So you
Okay,
have
so
2 out of 3. So
okay.
once you hit 3 out of 3,
Then it's
something
bad.
bad. The what happens when you reach your max suspicion in the rulebook is something bad happens, and I
Mhm.
get to pick what that is. I
Okay,
get to
so
throw a complication at you that makes sense in character. So
then
you're
I
not there yet. You're
then I
not there yet.
okay, then I also have 0 inspiration, right? Cuz that's something you gain, not something you lose.
No, you start with inspiration and then you lose it.
Oh, okay.
It should be equal to your presence.
And flexibility I have, oh, I start with it. So 2
Yeah.
out of 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Um,
that makes sense.
yeah, so you leave and you go to find Aaron, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go wait outside the dark
Yeah.
room and see if he shows up.
Okay. Yeah, Aaron, you have your photography club meeting, so you're there. And I'll say basically since Jewel, you're skipping like the beginning. Aaron, you're like about to go in, and Jewel, you see Aaron like about to go inside.
Mm. Hi. Um,
Hey,
sorry, I don't think we ever. I'm Jewel. I think I said that actually at the library. I think in saying at the library, she points in a random direction and then realizes that like in the school building. Oh, I'm frozen. In the school building, the come on, the library is like over there, like not where she's pointing, and she like her brain kind of goes, and she doesn't want to think about the weird day, the weird spatial thing that they did the night before.
yeah.
Um, and then like makes eye contact with him again and smiles.
Yeah, he introduces himself and completely understands about going weird places. You know, especially as you found him about to open the door, and yeah, was
um,
trying to decide which dark room he was heading for.
oh. Is that obvious? Because if I feel like if that's obvious, Jewel would help him open the door. Well, maybe not at this moment because she's trying to keep his attention. And she goes, "Uh, Look, I get you that you're busy. Do you have a cell phone? I could give you my like. Do you have BBM? I'll." And then I think halfway saying that, she kind of like regrets saying that because she knows not everybody in the school has a BlackBerry, and that's a whole thing, and she doesn't want to get into it right now. Um.
Um, he does have a phone. It's not necessarily you know the nicest in school, but at least you got numbers, and
Yeah, we should definitely
texting and
meet
stuff.
up. Do you wanna and then I think she hands him her phone because she already has it in her hand to like put his contacts in
Hmm.
the and as she's doing that, she pauses for a second and she just kind of goes, I the librarian said we have days. Um and then goes completely silent.
Yeah. Uh,
Um
I've never I've never gone monster hunting before. I'm not sure quite quite where to start.
I think at monster hunting, Joel just kind of like side to side look in the hallway, and goes. I mean, it's after school; no one's really there. Um, she goes, "Yeah, but you've got that. You you took out a book, right, from the library?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you get a chance? No, you wouldn't have gotten a chance to look at it yet, would you?
Flipped through a little bit.
Okay. Uh, you have uh, yeah, you're and then I'm blanking and I'm going to say that she's also blanking because she feels nervous. You have photography club or whatever. I'm not going to take any more of your time, but yeah, send me a message or call me or I just I'm going to try to find um and she realizes she doesn't know the other person's name or where they would be right now. She goes, "Look, you go to your club meeting. I'll see if I could track down the other guy and we should meet up and we should do something about this." And she's already kind of doing that backwards thing and she's waiting to see if he's going to say something and if not she's going to do.
Um, if I can ask one question.
Yeah.
So and he's trying to figure out how to ask the question standing in the hall at school.
Mm.
But basically, what he's trying to get at is, I know you can produce light. Um, does does having a light source do anything for you, or is it just, is it just one way?
I think Jewel kind of makes a face like she's attentively listening to the question, and then the meaning of the question hits her, and she just you see the no answer look that people get in their eyes, the realization that she doesn't actually know, she can't do what she expected to do and just immediately give a pleasant answer, and so she kind of freezes and looks away. And I think like above table there was the flash bulb from the camera. She didn't feel anything from that. It was just like me saying like, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if?" and then you saying, but at this moment she doesn't notice anything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think she genuinely just doesn't know. And so her answer is, that's a really good question.
He kind of points his thumb at the door. You want to find out?
Oh, oh, oh. And she was assuming, can you open the door for me? Um, but having knowing that she's already skipped her responsibility and they're on a time crunch, she's like, yeah, yeah, sure, yeah.
Um, so he opens the door. You go through. It's still the fitting room for a moment, and then
Mhm.
it shifts to basically a photography studio.
Ooh.
Um, he starts turning on some of those big bright photography lights to give you a space to experiment.
Okay.
Since I
Um,
can rebuild this with a thought, I don't think you can hurt anything.
okay.
I think.
Okay. And I
Just
think she kind
don't
of
don't
like,
don't hurt me.
I'll try not to. And her laugh is a little bit too nervous because she doesn't actually know she can. Um, I think she goes to like one, like she's trying to get longest straight line. So she goes to a
Mhm.
corner
Mhm.
and faces another corner, like the adjacent
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah.
And um, I think. Oh, I'm trying to think. Yeah, she hasn't figured that out yet. She goes to starfish and lights up, and then very specifically tries to take two running strides and stop
Yeah.
because she knows she's going to go very, very fast and she knows her natural running stride is very long.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
she just wants to like one, two, and shoot. And I think she does that and she realizes she does go faster because
Mhm.
she kind of was cluing into that before. I go faster. Remind me the okay, so bright speed is
Mhm.
in
Yep.
bright light or after
Which
being in bright light.
in bright light, which you are in right now,
Okay, she
you
could
go
go
fast.
even faster than she
Yep.
could have before.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
You go very fast.
I think in the confidence of like, okay, I did that and I did not fall down. She turns and she tries to run, like truly run. I think before she was going more for a lope or like a jog.
Mhm.
She does the same thing but at sprint speed, and unfortunately I think she just hits the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You take a few steps and you zoom and like Aaron, you see this, like Jewel across the room and into the wall.
Yeah,
Um
Aaron is kind of predicting what's
mhm.
going to happen and starting to think, but it takes a moment too long. So you smash into the wall, and then some padding appears on the wall.
Yeah, yeah, like a second too late, right after Jewel hits the floor. And that
Oh
is
yeah.
actually where we're gonna call for today. We're gonna leave Jewel on the floor. We'll pick up there
Jules on the
not
floor
next
looking
week.
at the padding on the
Yeah,
wall.
yeah. We
She
will not be
thought
here
this
next Saturday. We will announce our time that we're gonna reschedule. But yeah, we will not be here next Saturday. We will be here for sure the Saturday after, same time. And yeah, everyone go around and do your outro in
in reverse
opposite
order.
reverse order. I like to do reverse order.
Ye-
Okay, I think I went
Yeah,
went
you go
last
first. Yeah.
Mhm.
today, so yeah. reverse of reverse. So, so hi, I'm Steve. You can find me on the socials, especially Threads at Tall Halfling RPG. Um, you'll find me all over on channels all over Twitch and YouTube. Uh, Actually, just last night, I was playing the game with Sophia, our host here on Nerds with Dice. So if you want to check out Wanderer's Haven and look for the VOD from Sentience, where we were telling stories, being robots, and raising some money for mental health.
Cool. Hi, I'm Chanel Leeds, and I have my notes open because I haven't memorized my spiel yet. I use she, her, they, femme pronouns. Today, I have been playing Jewel Madison Lynch, the shiny track star, and star in more ways than one. And she uses she, her pronouns. And I am a visual arts educator and an aspiring actual play performer and voice actor. Ooh. You can find me right here on Twitch at Chanel Lees, and linked to my profile is my link tree. And on my link tree, you can find all of my socials, my next appearances, my previous VODs, and bonus content such as character Spotify playlists.
And once more with failing. Oh my god, hi. Again, I am Vin at VinVoxVA on all socials, except Blue Sky, that'll be vinvox.com. That is my website. I am a voice actor and tabletop performer. My website has my demo reels, my resume, studio specs, all that. I apologize. It is my fault. We are not playing next week. I will be in LA for Darkness Emergent, Vampire the Masquerade, live action role play, a LARP. Tickets are still on sale. We even have day passes for LA by Night panels, and then we have Succubus Club, which is just going to be us totally not as vampires in a club setting, which we would totally not want to do. But uh, by Night Studios, that's where you'll find all the information, and that's me.
You got the emergent part right, at least for next weekend.
Yeah, you'll be doing Emergent but having much more fun than we will be, I am so sure. Yeah, I am Quinn. I use any pronouns. You can find me on Blue Sky at QuinnBeckham27. I have been your GM for today and will continue to be your GM for the next couple of weeks, except again, not next week. You can find me weekly on Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific. The time zones in which I list things change constantly. 6 p.m. Pacific over on Zeal Zaddy playing another horror game, Magnus Archives Miami, where I am a player and not running that one. And if you are here and watching and you like Nerds with Dice and like raising money for charity and are gay, or queer in any sense or not, I believe allies are welcome in this event as well. We are Nerds with Dice is doing a charity pride event June 20th through 22nd. I am running a game for that. Lots of other amazing people are running games for that. It is a 48-hour straight. So we need lots of players. We've got 12 different games. The casting call for that just went live today. We are raising money for Trans Empowerment Project. I believe I said that correctly.
Mhm,
I might have
I
missed
think
a
so.
word.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
I think,
TEP.
yeah. So yeah, that casting is happening right now. Again, 12 different games, so we need lots of people. I'm running for that. Sophia's running something for that. So yeah, if you want to join and play a bunch of games, watch a bunch of games, that will be happening in about a month, and we will see you in 2 weeks, or when we see you, whenever. We'll post an announcement about when our new date will be for our third session of this, but definitely in 2 Saturdays. And that's all for today. Everyone have a great rest of your day.